Welcome to the Hop Edition podcast, brought to you in association with The Malt Miller, your go-to choice for premium homebrewing ingredients and equipment. Whether you're a beginner starting out or an experienced brewer, The Malt Miller has got you covered. So for top quality products and customer service, jump over to themaltmiller.co.uk and tell them the Hop Edition sent you. We would also like to thank all our Patreons for their continued support with running and developing the pod. If you would like to become a member and gain access to exclusive perks and benefits, head over to patreon.com/the Hop Edition. Now it's time to get this pod started, so crack open a homebrew and enjoy the episode.
Evening all. Welcome to episode 133 of the Hop Edition podcast. And tonight we've got a special guest with us. We're joined by Andy Thomason from Four Priests Brewery. So this evening we're going to be talking all things cask beer. And he's going to talk a bit about what it's like to run a pub. And we'll just dive into a bit of homebrew brewing chat. And on top of that, we're going to be enjoying some of Andy's fine beers throughout the evening, which he was very kind to send out. And for anyone that's following along with our social media, there was the opportunity to purchase the same set of beers and essentially join us for the evening on a bit of a drink along. So we'll cover off the beers that we're going to be drinking this evening in a moment. But before we get there, I just wanted to thank our partner sponsor, the Malt Miller, premier supplier of all things homebrew. So if you're in need of anything homebrew related, check out themaltmiller.co.uk. I believe they've just done a fresh delivery of Kegland equipment, so all things Kegland, if you want to go and check that out. And of course, whilst you're there, don't forget to check out the dedicated Hop Edition recipe section, where you can find a range of beers that have featured on the podcast in the past, including some of our own creations, where you can pick up the full all grain recipes. With all that said, good evening, chaps.
Hello.
How are we all?
All right, not too bad.
Yeah, my hangover's gone by now, so I'm quite happy.
Yeah, mine's just about retreated.
Bright as a button, Andy. Bright as a button. And Mr. Thomason, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for the invitation. Yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you. Yeah, got 5 fine beers lined up, and been looking forward to this all week. So yeah,
it's gonna be a fun evening. It's gonna be a fun evening.
And Andy has also managed to put those beers in the order that we will be drinking them. So
yeah,
if you're reading from left to right there, Murgy, which we've all got in a glass already, the stout. The can that says under construction, but is actually a beer called Divine Hibernation, Get Lucky, and then Ginger Beard, for anyone who can't quite read them off the screen. So if you have got those beers, that is the order for tonight. And you've got a nice visual reference there to help you along the way.
Yep.
We're, of course, starting off with the first beer, the Murgy, which, Andy, am I right in saying that was kind of your first commercial beer? Yeah.
It was
probably the one that you're most famous for, perhaps.
Well, it was the one that that we started with. We were a single beer brewery for quite some time, about 6 months or so, and I guess we'll get into this as we progress through the evening. But it came about through conversation with a few local pubs that were aware that we were starting and wanted a particular style, and it wasn't what I'd planned to brew first, but we were steered that way by the local market here, it came about over. Essentially, a lot of the background of this beer was based in sort of homebrew, and I wanted something that I knew would work. The base recipe itself, apart from the hop combo that we eventually used, was sort of tried and tested. It was my sort of go-to default pale recipe that if I want to play around with different hops, I would start there essentially, because I knew how it would perform. Brewed 6 casks, I think we got from the first brew. So 6 9-gallon casks, and they sold within a day. They were pre-sold essentially, and then we were completely out of stock. Then for another 3 or 4 weeks, we had to brew it again and again and again and again. And,
Yeah, because you had the smaller kit back then, didn't you, Andy? Was it the one you picked up from the brew pub or something like that? It was
it was
500 litre or something, or was it smaller?
400. Yeah,
400.
It was 2.5 barrel.
Yeah.
It's referred to if you look around as it's referred to as a Dave Porter kit. Mine wasn't actually from Porter, but it was a clone essentially. And they're all pub cellar tanks, Grundy tanks, which used to be in pub cellars. Now would have beer pumped into them and stored, and then dispensed, sort of bulk delivery essentially. Being repurposed, and you can do a lot with these tanks. You can turn them into mash tuns, coppers, fermenters, all kinds of things, and just big, cheap stainless steel storage. So, and we managed to pick that up from a pub next town along, where unfortunately the landlord of the pub had passed away, and he was a keen brewer himself, just for his own place, and the new owner that had taken over decided that he would like if this kit could still be used, and if it could go to a local startup, then he'd be happy to donate it essentially, and that's what happened. He gave us the kit for nothing, on the condition that we got it out of there quickly.
Yeah, and then you donate. Did you not pass that one on again? Did you not donate it?
I did. I do know his name, but I'm not going to mention it here because I'm not sure whether he want me to or not. But yeah,
okay.
The guy that took the kit, he's still in the process of getting it up and running. I think he's had some issues and things. So, but you'll see that kit again surface. He's done a couple of YouTube videos.
I've seen them.
He's been quiet for a while now, so I just want to have a chat with him before I start talking about it. But and hopefully he'll start knocking some beer out on it quite soon from his little sort of garage brewery. Yeah,
that's
right.
It's
a great little kit, and if you can find them secondhand, they're not so expensive. Even if you've got to pay for them, they're just not desirable. They're great for cask, but if you're doing anything with they're open top fermenters essentially when they've been converted. So you're sort of limited in terms of the styles that you can do easily.
Yeah. Cool.
So Andy, tell us a bit more about Mergy.
Yep. So Mergy, for those that haven't tried it, I think it's super drinkable. It's very, very easy. The idea of it was we're selling into rural South Cheshire, North Staffordshire pubs, and the audience in a lot of those pubs, there's this kind of lager centric, and a lot of the customers perhaps wouldn't be familiar with sort of modern craft styles. Now, what we didn't want to do was hit them with a super bitter, hazy, super hoppy product. We wanted something that a lager drinker could pick up and say, wow, that smells actually interesting, and I'm happy to try this, but not so much that when they took the first sip of it, they were like, well, hops burning, and what's this muck? So I just go straight back to my Carling. So we deliberately sort of subdued. I would have liked to have gone hoppier with it, I think, and a little bit more bitterness, but we wanted something that was going to be a crowd pleaser, essentially. Nobody would be offended by this beer. So we're looking at about 6 grams per litre all in. Half of that is in the dry hop, the other half is in the brew house, and just two hops, Citra and Talus. There's a little bit more Talus than Citra hot side, and then there's a little bit more Citra than Talus on the dry hop. But yeah, 3 grams per litre, and I think we achieved what we wanted to achieve with it. I think, and lots of people that hadn't drunk non-mainstream craft beer got to experience it for the first time, and we had massive feedback for it, to the point that I think of the 55 pubs that we've sold this product to in cask, I would say probably sort of 55 pubs we've served in total. About 40 of them have taken Mergy from us. So most of the pubs that we deal with started with this and stuck with it. It was only when we introduced the missing beer that you can't see here, the Mergy Straight, for similar reasons to the Bergie, that we attracted another separate audience, but actually very similar pubs in that they didn't want anything too wacky and out there. By that I mean no more than 4%, got to be bright, not too bitter, not too hoppy, and that that's how we started. The grain bill in this is pretty simple. The majority of it is we use again only because I was using it in homebrew, but the majority of it is crisp Clear Choice. It used to be Clear Choice Extra Pale. It's just called Clear Choice Pale now, which is easy to drop bright. There's no surprises with it. It works. It's a couple of quid more expensive a bag than regular pale, but in terms of the clarity of the finished product, it works. We fine it with, and I guess we'll talk about finings later in a separate bit. I think there was a question in the sort of pre broadcast sheet that you sent me, but we fine it twice, once with an auxiliary fining in the tank, and then with another fining in the cask. So it's usually crystal clear. Mine's actually quite hazy today. I think it was probably the last one out of the canning machine when we canned it, but the majority of them should be pin bright. There's a proportion, about a quarter of the base malt is Maris Otter, and we just wanted a little bit more sort of biscuitiness, a little bit of breadiness. I did just want to go sort of single malt, and it actually was almost a smash beer in the first instance when I first started building that recipe. We had one single base malt, which was the crisp Clear Choice, and then we added, I added the Maris Otter after the second or third iteration, and I thought it made a big difference. So we've stuck with that. There's a little bit of caramel in there as well, which you'll just get that little bit of sweetness from it as well.
Yeah.
Again, not a lot. It's about somewhere between 3 and 5% from memory. And I think that just also gives us a little bit more more of a golden hue as well, just very slightly, just changes the color, darkens it a little bit. It's, like I said, it's an accessible crowd pleaser. Everybody seems to like it who drinks it. I've never had, in fact, there's one comment I got, it was actually from Sarah. She says it tastes a bit soapy, but she's one of these coriander people, There's two. Yeah. So I think that may be her rather than the beer. Still doesn't stop me drinking it.
Do you think that's the way Talus is presenting itself in the beer?
Could be. Yeah,
the way
could be.
She's perceiving Talus, perhaps.
Yeah.
Andy, do you want to know a little secret?
Go on.
This is the first time I've ever drunk Mergie.
Oh, my goodness me.
I know.
And what's your view,
Criminal.
honestly?
Honestly, mate, it's an absolute banger. I'm really enjoying just how balanced the beer is.
It's incredibly easy to
switch
smash it down, isn't it? It's just
You can smash it, yeah.
I like how dry it is as well.
It finishes really low, actually.
Brings you back.
Sometimes I'm a bit surprised when I see the final gravity, and I'm like 1006, 1005. And I've had to be a little bit careful with if we're going to overshoot the ABV, obviously, because it's commercial now, right? A homebrewer didn't care. It's like, I'm a few points over, it's fine. But no, I've got labels and cans and pump clips and things, so we can't go too far outside of the range. One occasion it finished at 1004, and I got like 90% attenuation from US05. I'm like, what is going on? And it must have been something to do with the mash temperature, me not going deep enough in when I was measuring it. So
is it a fermentus you use, or is it a WHC
fermentus.
or
no,
fermentus? And it's fermentus as well, yeah.
Yeah. So I can only figure. I was aiming for 66 in the mash, and the probe on my temperature thermometer is quite short, so I've got to really stick it deep to get a reading. And obviously it's hotter at the top, so I'm thinking maybe the bulk of the mash was at sort of 62, 63. And that finished at 1004, and instead of being a 4.2, it was a 4.8. And I'm in trouble now, right? So we call it Mergie Straight Festival Edition. And sold it at the Folk and Boat Festival in George. So
I love it.
We've brewed it. We must have brewed it 70, 80 times now. It's pretty dialed in now. I can do it with my eyes closed. Don't need the recipe sheet anymore. It just works. Yeah.
Yep.
So lovely aroma. Beautiful balance to that. hop presence and the kind of
it's
sweetness that comes through.
Yeah, it's a simple recipe. When we first got rolling, I just published it on Brewfather, I think, and
You shared
so many
Yeah,
people. I've
still
said this
there.
before. Yeah, it's still there. Lots of people have brewed it, and I get regular. As I mentioned when we did a video with Richard the other week, I get regularly a box will turn up with DPD, and someone's done a tribute. There's a variety of similarities, some not at all, and some very, very close. Yeah, and some with completely different hops in. So
there you go.
I've made Murgy Straight, but I've done it with East Kent Golding and Saz. Okay, well done.
So you've made a lager.
Yeah, exactly, the pseudo lager.
Yeah.
Well
That's cool.
Yeah, it just works. And if you want the recipe, just onto Brewfather. If you just search for Four Priests Brewery, you'll see it's there. I've really not touched it since. A few little tweaks here and there. Mainly a little bit of water addition changes that we've made because the water here is super soft.
Good.
And at certain times of the year, that profile changes. So I'm constantly chasing what United Utilities are doing at the water treatment works or whatever. So we tweaked that a little bit. And I increased the base malt a little bit last year because the harvest, the yield that we were getting from the grain wasn't as high, and we had a couple of brews where we'd undershot, and I needed to add about 5% more base malt to get us back up to where we needed to be. And it's a seasonal thing. Every year we'll get it. It'll change again now. They'll start to blend in the new harvest, and then by the time we get into summer, we'll be settled in again. But you just got to be on your toes with your OGs and FGs here.
So obviously a lot of this beer goes out in cask. Is there anything in particular about the recipe that you think makes it really work in that format? I mean, it's still great in the can, obviously, but clearly it does very well as a cask beer too.
It does. So, yeah, we sell a lot more in cask than we do in keg. I think I think the way it serves, the way it looks in the glass, there's a chunk of wheat in there as well, and we get a lovely, especially if it's poured correctly in the north through a sparkler, we get a beautiful thick, tight, creamy head on it as well, and it sustains right down the glass, and it pours well. It smells. If you think you're probably all drinking this out of the fridge right now at whatever 5 or 6 degrees probably, but at 12 degrees from a pub cellar, that extra little bit of warmth, the aroma that you get as soon as you lift a glass up, you're in for a bit of a treat. It really does smell good. In terms of the lack of carbonation. Or minimal carbonation that you're gonna taste with the cask serve. I kind of prefer that. It's there's a little bit of tingle, but there's no carbonic kind of bite to it at all on a cask, and that it just allows the grain bill and the hops to shine right through. You're welcome anytime at the pub. We'll sort you out if you want to come up and try it in its correct form.
In its natural habitat.
Yeah.
In its
Nice.
glory.
Come down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very tempted after this one and only can of Murgy.
That's good.
It's cracking. Really enjoy it. And I'm not quite sure, Andy, why it's taken me so long to actually get around to trying it. But obviously you heard lots about it because lots of people have cloned it and made it at home.
I've made it really difficult for people to obtain it unless you're based around here, because I'm forever out of cans. I mean, as soon as I make cans and I talk about it on the YouTube channel, they're gone.
Of course.
I made 2,000 cans in December. And what you're drinking now is literally the last of it. There's hardly anything left. I think I've got some Get Lucky left, and then about probably 10 or 12 cans of everything else at the shop, and that's it. Just with the time pressure of moving into retail business from a pure brewery business and quitting the day job and all the other stuff, just getting beer in cans it took a back seat. So I really need to improve that. And I've had plenty of offers from people who have offered us contract canning services as well. So they'll send like an Arlington tank to the brewery and we can fill it from our tank. They'll take it away, carbonate it, and
but that's quite expensive though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think it's too much, because they're looking at 1,000 litres at a time, more or less, with canning services, even guys that come to you. And, you work it out, 440 ml cans, it's a lot of cans.
Yeah.
I'm happy doing a couple 100 litres at a time.
Yep.
And that seems to give us enough cans to last 3 or 4 months.
Nice.
It's just having the time to do it.
Because it's quite a labour-intensive process for yourself, is it not? Because you're using the duo filler, is it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I can with the headphones in, and once you've got some momentum going, I'm about 100 cans an hour labelled and boxed up roughly.
I was going to say a can a minute, but that's slightly faster, isn't it?
Yeah. So a morning's canning, and I've done one of these beers, and I've got enough to keep us going for a while. Yeah.
Cool. Good stuff.
Fun times. So Andy, we probably jumped into a bit of talking about Murky, and we might have skipped over really just kind of tell us a bit more about yourself and about Four Priests and a bit of your journey. You've talked about obviously coming from homebrew roots. What's the journey been, Andy? When did you start homebrewing, and tell us the whole story?
I mean, homebrewing go on and off, right? But going back to when I was really small, and my dad would be brewing wine, making wine at home, and I was just fascinated by this, this sort of science experiment going on in the kitchen, and even age sort of 7 or 8, if my dad was away on business, if my mum's watching, she might be, by the way, she'd be embarrassed now, but she'd be like, go and get us a glass of wine out of the airing cupboard, and I'd get the siphon tube out and pour her a glass of wine or whatever. And I love the sort of the chemistry of the whole thing. And then through my teenage years, didn't really do a lot of brewing. And then it was only when I got to sort of, legal drinking age, started to experiment with other things. So, trying to make sort of, liqueurs, and I did some wine as well. The only beer that I would do typically was sort of extract kits, because I really didn't understand how you could go from grain to beer at that stage. I'd not really researched it. It was just like, how do I get some relatively low cost alcohol, and then going into the sort of late 20 teens, I would say. Little bit of time on my hands, and as most people sort of get into the hobby, you're just like, I wonder if I could do this, and discovered a few sort of forums. I would sort of lurk in the background and read the advice, and again went to Extract, and I was reading one of the local newspapers. There was someone was giving away a load of plastic buckets and siphon tubes, and like they were retiring from the sport of homebrew, and it was only a mile away, and they didn't want anything for it. So I just jumped in the car and went and picked all this stuff up. And there were some books in there with all grain recipes, but not all of the equipment required to do it. Half the equipment. So bought a few bits and bobs off eBay, and just gave it a whirl. And I was massively disappointed with the first attempt, right? Because you normally are, and then. Not want to give up, just persisted, and eventually got to a point where actually this is pretty drinkable, I think. And then you spend more money, because everybody knows the shinier the gear, the better the beer, right? And then you get to actually, people drinking your beer saying, I'd buy that, I'd pay money for that, and they're like, I wonder if there's more in the future for me with this. And then you realize how much it's going to cost you. I haven't got the time. I haven't got the money. I haven't got the equipment. I haven't got the skills. So it just sort of sits in the back of your mind until you have a really bad day at work, and you're like, maybe I should. Get
me out of here.
Yeah,
that's what it's like.
Your happy place, Andy.
It was. It literally was. So brewing in the kitchen here. Joined a few more forums, and gathered more experience. Used to read a lot. I've got a massive collection of brewing books and home brewing books upstairs that I still refer to from time to time. And then ended up meeting with a few other local homebrewers. We'd all discovered each other on a web forum, the homebrew forum.co.uk. And we discovered, just by pure chance, there was a guy called Ken, and they had like an irrelevant forum where you just talk about anything. And people were posting photographs of their cats and dogs and whatnot. And there was a picture of his garden, and I saw these 3 wheelie bins. And I was like, they're the same colour as my wheelie bins, right? Which might sound like a strange thing to say, but actually every town's got a different colour code for their wheelie bins, right? You've got your non-recyclable, your glass and your paper and whatever. I said, they're Cheshire East wheelie bins on the floor. He said, yeah. And I said, what day's your bin? What day's your bin day? He said, Monday. I said, you live in Sandbach. And he did. So we met up and had a beer. And before we knew it, there's like half a dozen other people all would live within 5 or 6 miles here. So it was right at the beginning of lockdown. So, but the idea was we would get together and have a beer, but we couldn't. So much like this, we sort of jumped on Google, whatever it was, Google Meet, I think it was back then, Google Meet. And we'd have a few beers together and got to know each other without even having ever met each other. And then we were finally allowed out by the government, and we went to visit a local brewery together. And of course, I've had a few pints at this point, and I'm chatting to one of the guys who happens to be one of the camera officials around here. And, I'm talking about this, I'd love to start a brewery one day. And he said, well, if you're serious, there's some brewery kit going at a local pub. I can connect you with the guy. And then that's where it all went wrong. This was a Thursday night, and by Sunday morning, I had about 1,600 litres worth of stainless steel tanks in the back of a truck, which is the first episode that I did on YouTube, going like, where am I going to put this stuff?
Looking for a unit. That's right.
And then after that, it was kind of, even then, I was like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's...
Andy, how exactly did you break that to the wife?
Well, she didn't know until I had the gear on the truck. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened.
Nice.
And I literally rang her from the truck.
I love it.
And said,
"Too late now. We're committed."
She said, Are you out with my dad?" I said, "Yeah," because he's stolen a truck. And it was one of the haulage contractors for Mornflake Oats. And he's retired. He's retired now, but he does some welding on vintage vehicles for them. And he just basically stole a curtain cider for the day. And we loaded it up and drove it off. And she's, "Why are you out with my dad?" "Well, I've just picked up this." "Oh, congratulations!" I said. "Congratulations, you own a brewery." So I probably shouldn't swear on here because you get demonetized or something. But yeah, there was lots of expletives used. And then she's, "Where are you going with this brewery?" I said, "Well, I was coming to our house because it's exactly 1.13 meters between our house and next door, and these tanks are 1.1 meters, and I think I can fit them down there." And there's a bit more swearing. They weren't coming home with me. But actually, the guy that owned the truck, the yard where the truck's kept, Stuart, Sarah's dad, called ahead and said, "Have you got any space for some stainless steel tanks?" He said, "Yeah, I've got a 40-foot shipping container. There's not hardly anything in it. Some fishing kit, and if you want to store it in there, that's fine." So we arrived back at the yard. There's a fork truck waiting for us. He unloaded it all, and I went up to speak to the owner and said, "Sorry, we stole your truck. How much do I owe you for the fuel and the borrow of it and the storage?" And he said, "Nah, Stuart's family. No charge." So at this stage, I'm like, I've got a free brewery, I've got free transport, I've got free storage for it.
How bad can it be?
The universe is trying to tell me something here. And with that, I went home and started looking at the HMRC website and trying to work out what exactly I needed to do to make this legit.
And did you start pulling together your business plan then at that point?
No, and I still haven't really got one. We're just winging it. No, it was the main thing was like, do I flip this kit and sell it, or do I go for it? And that was the decision that we had to make. And it was a team decision, a family decision, me and Sarah, and we talked about it. And she was like, "Just go for it, part time. What's the worst that can happen? I think you should give it a go. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but let's not spend anything that we can't afford to lose." So it was very logical. And then a couple of weeks later, a month or so later, there's a guy in the next industrial unit to the brewery now called Mike, and he has an MG car kind of repair business. Does up these old classics. And he called me because he's also a home brewer and said, "Hey, the unit next to us has become available if you're interested. Do you want to come down and speak with the landlord?" So So I did. I wandered down. We did the deal there and then. And then we realised there's, questionable electrics, no water and no drainage, but we'll deal with that. It's a space so we can at least start doing things in. So, and then it took us probably 3 or 4 months to get it up to speed. That was weekends and evenings every day.
You documented
floors,
the full thing.
Drains in. Yeah,
fully. It was amazing.
Yeah. And then by April we were ready to brew. We had all the HMRC stuff in place. It was all there, and even then I'm like, oh my god, what are we doing? This could be a massive mistake. But true to what we'd agreed to start with, we'd not really spent anything we couldn't afford. We'd done everything as cheaply as we could. We'd begged, borrowed, stolen, repurposed, repaired. The lease with the landlord was short and something that we could escape from if we needed to. So we're like, let's just go for it and see what happens. And we did okay. I mean, we've never had a month where we've not been able to pay the bills. And within 3 months of starting the process of getting the brewery set up, we were selling beer and making enough money to start paying some of that back. So we've been completely debt free from day, other than our own cash that we put in. We've been completely debt free from day one, and that's the only way that I would have done it. And if anyone else is thinking about doing it, then if you can find a way to just keep your costs down to the bare minimum and keep an income from some other job for as long as you can, then that'll really help while you get rolling. Yeah.
So sounds like Maverick. Hoddy, similar story, isn't it?
We talk a lot. He's in the chat here. Actually, I just spotted him.
He is.
Yeah, we talk a lot, and throughout the process, he was also a homebrew forum dweller, and around the same time, we were both sort of mentioning to people on threads there like what we were planning to do. I think I just beat him to it in terms of getting set up. He was struggling to find premises down where he is, sort of Hampshire, Borden way. He was struggling to get premises for quite some time. I think we just managed to drop on relatively quickly up here with premises. But other than that, we were on the same journey.
Yeah.
And like me, he's gone about it the right way. Like, let's not spend too much. Let's keep the day job for as long as it's possible to. And very quickly realised, you need to be putting beer in a glass to make money. Unless you can produce volume, and you want to get in the cask ale rat race in terms of price, then get it in a glass in a tap room if you can. That's the way to to sustain your business without going belly up financially.
Yeah, exactly.
And am I right in saying, Andy, you're now kind of full time in the brewery, right? So you've given up the day job.
Yep. Yeah. I
He's retired. He's loving life now.
Somebody asked me on the comments today, one of the videos, if I'd retired. I'm like, I wish I had. You don't retire. I said you don't retire from DigiKey. They just put new capacitors in you and then give you a new power supply, and away you go. We had a long conversation or over a period of months, Sarah and I, like, if I'm going to quit this day job, like, what does the business need to look like? And literally Excel spreadsheets galore. How many casks of ale do we need to sell per week, per month, in order to pay the bills in the house and maintain the lifestyle that we have? And it would have meant a double or a tripling of the business in order to do that. That, given the amount of time that I was spending already at the brewery, like, where is this time going to come from that I need to make more beer, go and sell more beer, deliver beer, collect empties, collect payments? It just wasn't going to be possible unless we took some risk, increased the capacity of the kit, got bigger premises, and then, we're kind of going against that original model of like, don't risk anything you can't afford to lose. And then we opened the tap room at the brewery, just odd weekends, and I realised then, we were making more money at the tap room in a weekend than we were the whole month selling casks of ale to pubs. So if we get a chance to do somehow more of that, putting beer in a glass, then we don't need to make as much ale. I don't need to brew more beer. We're just going to sell it for at a price point and a margin, which means we're not busy fools. So I'm even now, and we've got the pub. I'm brewing about the same amount of beer that I brewed when we were selling it to trade. It's just our trade sales are considerably less than they were, and our direct can sales and sales to ourselves for the tap room and now the bar, mean that we're significantly more profitable. And it got to a point where actually on paper, if we had one more venue, I could quit the day job. And then this pub came up. And with that, we were okay. If we can get the pub at the right price, and we can blend in our beer into the lineup there, then I don't need the day job. So we thought, let's just give it a go and see what happens. And on the basis that if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I could probably go back to electronics. There's, I know plenty of people. There's plenty of opportunities. I hope I don't have to, but that option exists if if it gets to a point where we're not able to sort of be in the financial position that we need to be. I could go back, but no danger of that right now. He says, well, it's January and business is terrible right now, right? Or just February, right? So business is terrible right now, but I know come March, April, May, then, we'll be solid again. Yeah. So I resigned from DigiKey about May time, knowing that the pub was coming through, and then end of July, when was it now? May, June, July. It was end of July, beginning of August, I think. I'm sure when my last date was now. End of August, I think, beginning of September was my sort of final day with employment. I had a 3-month notice period. And it sort of synchronized quite well with, the pub becoming ours and the ability for us, excuse my dogs and barking. I know this is Chris Ibbotson. It enabled us to make the decision that we'd wanted to. So and so far so good. Yeah. Excuse me 1 second. This is my guest who's going to come and drink these beers with me, Mr. Chris Ibbotson, who's a long-time member of the chat here. I'll be about 5 seconds. Talk amongst yourselves.
Good old Ibbo. Nice. Well, if you haven't already, for those that have Andy's amazing beers, we have already made a start on Stout, which is next in the lineup. I have to say,
it's insane.
What a stout!
It's got the Bramlin cross hit, isn't it? It's got that
another
berry.
very drinkable one, isn't it? It's,
it's like it's flying down.
I mean,
it's very smooth.
As a sort of just a classic style of beer, it smells amazing.
It does, doesn't it? It does smell very, very good.
Thanks for muting the chaos. Apologies for my dog. That's Ibbotson has that reaction on the dogs.
Where is he then? Where is Ebbo?
I don't know what he's doing now. He'll be in a second. He's hovering around. Oh, I can hear the clink of bottles as well coming in.
It's raiding your fridge from the sound of it.
He is, yeah.
I'm glad he's bought beer. He wasn't just here for a free piss up then.
He's been out for a curry and he's decided to join us now. Just jump on this one.
Very good.
Oh, so his own equipment and everything. Anyway, yeah, serious.
Andy, we were just saying that we have cracked open the Cross Stout.
Yes. Cross Stout.
This is amazing.
Stout, and I also want to hear a bit about your YouTube stardom and your YouTube journey, because I think that's probably the thing that people probably know you equally as well for, as much as the brewery. And actually that journey's kind of intertwined, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Well, do you want to talk about Cross Stout first, and then we'll talk about YouTube superstardom
the stout's
and
not been around
unlimited
for much
riches? So cross stout is another, and you'll hear this across the range. Cross stout is another one where we needed something accessible and easy drinking, and you should be able to detect a dose of oatmeal in this. There's a sort of slight silkiness to it, and I'm not a fan of bitter stouts or roasty, burnt, kind of roast barley, and I discovered, again, just trial and error, if you don't put your dark malts into the very end of the mash, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you get the colour, you don't get the harshness from it. So we experimented with that for a little while, and did some sort of test batches, got a few drinkers to sample it, and discussed the difference between that and anybody else's. And a lot of people were saying, I used to love Mackerson Stout. It's really like Mackerson Stout. And I couldn't really remember Mackerson Stout. So, but the old boys at the pub really, really liked the fact that it was sort of smooth and easy drinking. Just when I was letting Chris in, somebody mentioned Bramley Cross.
Yeah.
So we've got, there's not a lot of hops in this actually, and we've got a kilo of East Kent Golding right at the beginning of the boil, so 1 hour boil. And then at 15 minutes to go, there's 800 grams of Bramley Cross in, it's a 1,000 litre tank, right? So it's not heavy at all. Two kilos of hops, nothing after that. But I think that Bramley Cross, because we put it in at the end, it's an aroma hop essentially. And you're not really looking for aroma in a stout usually. But I think it does work.
Berry
Melts beautifully. Days. Yeah. It works so well in it.
And you can smell it as well. See when you just even the aroma.
Yeah. The thing with this is it gets better and better as it gets older and older, and it's sort of a stouty thing, right? And right now I've just sold the last cask of the the cross stout that we made in, when was it now? Probably end of October. And normally in casks, you want it gone before 3 months, really. But I've had some which have been getting on for 6 months old in the cask, and you crack them open, and it gets even better. Yeah,
yeah. Because you brewed it. Did you not just rebrew it the other day?
Yeah, I brewed it again yesterday, day before. Yeah, that was the one I was talking about in the video. I meant to brew it last Friday, and it was just a complete nightmare. And I tipped a load of dextrin malt in midway through the mash, half a bag, and as I dropped it in, it was this sort of big brick of dextrin malt. I'm like, what the hell is that? So I kind of put my hand in the mash tun to sort of lift it out. And as I lifted it out, it all sort of crumbled, and it was just mold. It was green mold.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I've got about 150 quid's worth of grain in this tank now, and half my water. And I'm just watching it sink to the bottom.
No.
So I'm like,
no.
Right. So I just power off, went home. I just left it.
2 hour boil.
Yeah, I was like, nah. And I didn't actually go, no, well, yeah. I mean, I was back in your mind, you're thinking, bullshit out of it. No,
yeah.
But it was the green foam that came through.
No
So
way.
I literally power off, water off, got in my car, screamed, drove home, didn't go back for 3 days. I just left the brewery in that state. And then finally, they're in the fridge. Finally, I was like, okay, I better go clean up. So went back to the brewery, dug it all out, cleaned it, inspected all the rest of the grain. I have no idea how it got moldy because none of the grain's stored in a damp area. They're on pallets, it's off the floor, it's dry. I can only assume, and it was in date. There was another 18 months on the sack. So it was like, it's a two year date on it. So I had no idea. The only thing I could think, maybe it was got damp in transit. Maybe I've got the bag wet at some point around the brewery when I've dispensed grain from it previously. I don't know. So, yeah, horrible. So, tipped it. Anyway, yesterday it worked. It worked well. I replaced the missing grains, brewed it again. It all seems to be go. Hit my numbers as well perfectly. So. Do you find this
beer does better at this time of year with it being a darker beer in the cold weather, or do you do?
Yeah, it has done this year. Yeah, it's an all year core beer. We sell it all the time. In the winter, definitely this winter, I've noticed that it's really picked up, and especially at the brewery tap. We're selling as much of that as any of the other beers. Normally, the Murgy is the big seller at the brewery tap, but we've been selling almost as much stout. At the bar in Sandbach, it's mostly Get Lucky that sells, and obviously we've got the Divine Hibernation on keg there. We only put the stout on the rotation because we've got a lot of stout drinkers, so we don't want to just impose cross stout on them all the time. It's not a brewery tap room. It's it's a bar where it's all about variety and breadth. So we put cross stout, probably one in every 4 stouts that go on will be ours, and then somebody else's. Yeah.
Cool.
And I'm not really monitoring the chat, but if there are any questions on any of this stuff, and I'm always happy to share recipes and stuff with people that want to brew it. I tend not to publish them widely, but I do sneak a few recipes out to people from time to time. Just let me know.
Would
awesome.
cross my mind actually, Andy. I would really appreciate the recipe for this stout.
Yeah, not a problem.
Absolutely smashing. But I love the fact that you're thinking about the dark malt.
Yeah.
And I'm totally with you. I'm not always sold on that really. That harshness and sometimes almost astringent dark malt character in a stout. It's got its place, don't get me wrong, but that's so drinkable.
Okay. Yeah. He came down to see us this morning and pick his beers up.
Oh, sure.
So he did. Yeah.
Oh, did he?
And then we upsold him. He only came down for 5. He left with 10. So
Nice work.
Probably an easy sell, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
There's nothing remarkable about it. There's no weird techniques or anything with any of these beers. Just a few little tweaks. Like I said, putting the dark malts in at the end. Just cap the mash. Just literally last 15 minutes. Sprinkle it on the top, and just gently agitate, just so it sinks slightly. Don't even mix it in. Don't want to disturb the grain bed too much.
Yeah.
And then when you start running off, you're like, oh my god, the colour's too light. It's like pale. And then as you continue to drain down, it just goes jet inky black. And by the time it's in the copper, you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah, because it's proper black. Yeah, there's no. Yeah, it's not even that kind of red or anything you would maybe expect.
If you get a light behind it, you'll definitely there's a kind of rubyiness to it.
Yeah.
But in a glass, you hard to see it without the light. It's just a good solid black.
Yeah, it's sort of bordering on porter.
Yeah.
Stout,
it drinks like a porter, doesn't it? That's what I was thinking. It's very porter-like, where for porters, it's not super roasty. Where stouts always tend to be really roasty to me.
Yeah.
And when I first started drinking dark beers, I didn't actually like stouts. I was like more of a port. Like I loved porters, and I would stay away from stouts because they were too roasty. But as your tongue kind of you get on.
Yeah. Well, the dark malts in this are only 2 basically, and it's again you've seen the recipe, but in for our brew length, it's about 6 kilos of roasted barley and about 5.5 of dark chocolate malt.
Nice,
not the light one. Yeah,
I like chocolate malt. Yep.
Yeah, love that. So Andy, tell us about your YouTube
stardom.
That whole journey, because that's fascinating.
Yeah, I was not. I was the least, or the most camera shy person you'd ever know. I did, I hate the idea of people pointing cameras at me, and don't want to be seen. And at parties, people with cameras, I'm always in the background, like trying to avoid things and stuff. So, I was never looking to kind of, become sort of somebody that people would want to watch talk about stuff. Different when I'm at work, right? So I'm happy to stand in front of a room of 300 or 400 people and talk about electronics in the industry and blah, blah, blah. But, as far as my personal life's concerned, hiding away from it. So it was actually really awkward. But I felt this sort of compelling urge to just document what we were doing. At the point that we got this kit and all that stuff happened, like free kit, free transport, I'm like, I want to just get this down so that I can watch it back myself, because I'm not going to be able to believe this in a few years' time. Yeah. So I just made that first little video really, it was aimed at all the homebrew lads, Chris and the gang around here that I mentioned before, and not really expecting anyone else would probably be interested in watching it, but just inviting them to let me know if they wanted to see any more about what I was doing. And bear in mind, this was still end of lockdown-ish period, so you could keep in touch with guys through YouTube a little bit. And so I uploaded this video. The following day, there was about 17 views, and I know my mum had watched it 2 or 3 times, and the rest of them were the guys, and that's pretty cool. And then I noticed a couple of days later, I'd got about another 50 or 60 subscribers. I'm like, what? How? I didn't have any subscribers a few days ago. Where are these guys coming from? So obviously, somebody's found it and passed it around. And then I was watching Harry's channel. And,
was it Harry give you a shout out?
And Harry had somehow found. I think I'd contacted him early in the setup of the brewery.
That's how I found you.
It must have been after that. Yeah, it was. Anyway, he just mentioned, like, if you love a brewery fit out, then you want to watch this guy.
Yeah.
And over the next few days, there's about 300 people had watched, and most had subscribed. And so I got in touch with him, like, what are you doing? And he said, I thought I'd sort of share what you were doing. And we became sort of pals. He became my sort of background technical advisor. So I'm calling him every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, how do I do this? How do I do that? How did you build your cask washer? How did you build your cold room? And then we went up to meet and spent some time up there as well. And then the second video, I think, was looking for premises. We'd been to look at an old milking parlour, dairy, ideal for what we needed. It had power, it had drains, it had water. It was tiled and clean, but there was a lot of red tape and planning consent issues and a few other things. So we'd had 2 or 3 like that where you sort of fell at the final fence. And then I think 3rd or 4th video was like, wow, we got some premises. And by the time I got to that, I think we'd got about 600 subscribers, something like that, just over the period of a few weeks. So, like, we found something that people are actually interested in. It's a bit niche, right, homebrewing, but people seem to be engaged with it. And you just start to get the questions then, and it becomes a bit like crack. You're like, you post a video and then you're waiting for the comments, and it's like people asking questions and they're answering them all, and it's like, wow, people are really interested in me or the story or something. But and I'd watched a lot of brewing and brewery channels and homebrew channels, and I was like, I can't be like these guys. Like, they know what they're doing. I'm just kind of winging it, but. And it just sort of grew. It just sort of grew and grew. And the video frequency to start with, I think I said in the video I did yesterday, it was, for me, it was once we got rolling, the idea of the channel was like how to build a brewery from an empty warehouse, and this is what you do and how you do it. This is what it costs. These are the things that you need to consider. And then maybe when we've reached the end of that, maybe that's just it. Like, we've done our thing, and we'll maybe move on to something else, or maybe just not bother. And I've been in this sort of limbo for a while with that. Like, everybody says they want to see brew days, and I do a brew day and I get like a couple of thousand people will watch it. It's brilliant, but it just feels like I'm repeating myself over and over and over, doing the same thing. So I've been thinking for a long time, like, what else can I do that's going to be interesting? And the pub could be something I can really focus on now. But I've just not had the time to do it. So, but yeah, we built it up over whatever it's been now, 3-4 years. It's not massive, right? It's about 3,500 something, 3,200 subscribers. But when I'm doing a video every couple of weeks, we're getting about 10,000 people a month watching content.
Yeah, that's really good.
And for those interested in, like, how much money are you making from it, I would say it's a nice meal out once a month. And I'm not talking about steak, right? I'm like Nando's.
The cheeky Nando's once a month.
Yeah. And you'll know how it works.
It's not the reason you do it, right? That's not.
No, it can't be
not
for
the driver.
70 quid or whatever. No, it's not. And I can't see how this is. I'm never going to have a silver play button on the wall, right? With home brewing, like, you look around at all the really popular brewing channels, the craft beer channel, and those guys, and it's a real stretch to get that high. You've got to have something
Even
we've got to have
then-
something very special. Yeah.
The craft beer channel's heavily supported by its Patreons as well, and the supporters of that, and other avenues as well. It's not just YouTube income, I would say. That's for sure.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone's cracked the divine hibernation.
I have. I saw Tricky get in there, and to be fair, credit to your stout. You know when that moment where you go and pick the can up again, and you go in wishful thinking that there might be still some beer in the can, so you can pour some more.
No.
And I picked it up, and the disappointment that it was all gone was real. That was real.
We should call that vanishing stout because
So,
someone did.
Honestly,
Absolutely
that was
solid.
probably the most drinkable stout I've had for
Ever.
a very long time, if not forever.
Yeah.
I bloody loved that.
Thank you.
And
What
it's
feedback.
not just because you're on the podcast, Eddie. That was
Yeah.
absolutely outstanding beer.
I've just
Very
got to
good.
show you guys something actually while we're here now, because it looks like I've got my own producer sat here.
There he is.
DJ Ibo on the decks.
He's just
Ivo on the buttons.
Love it. What are you drinking,
Producer.
Ibo? What's he drinking?
What's he's got? Is that a crossed out? Yeah, or have you brought your own? Okay, yeah, he's got a crossed out on the go here. So
No, I'm
yeah,
jealous.
I'm still on Mergy. I'm talking too much.
Yeah, well, we're keeping you chatting. We're keeping you chatting. I'm going to move us on to the smell of divine hibernation. Flipping nuts! It smells amazing.
So this was a collaboration, the first one that we've done, and a break with tradition. Right, we're a trad brewery. We don't do hazy beers and NEPAs. We're all about 4% sessionable beers, where the old boys can come in and drink 5 or 6 pints and play dominoes, and then go home. And but there was a constant pressure from people: when are you going to do it? When are you going to do a NEPA? When are you going to do a hazy? And friends of mine, like, when you go out, why don't you make a beer like this as they're supping Steady Rolling Man or something? I'm like, well, we could, but like, we're breaking the model, really. It's a keg beer, for one. Not really our thing. But eventually I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I'm like, oh, okay, right. I've got to get all this beer's got to be clear and bright out of my head. We want it to be hazy, and we want, we want haze stability. And I know how to do that because I've done it before, but on a homebrew scale. And I've certainly experienced your lovely hazy beer becoming lovely and bright after it's sat in your corny keg for a week or two. Can't be doing that commercially, right? It's got to be right. So, up in the Wirral, there's another brewer who you may have met, called Sunbear, Liam.
Yeah, he's been on the podcast.
He's been on the podcast. Okay, yeah.
He has
And this-
indeed.
Yeah. We know him.
And we got chatting because he was, he's local-ish to us, and we got chatting, talking about what we want to do. He says, "Why don't we just do a collaboration? We'll do it together. All my beers are hazy. I've made some decent ones I know what to do." And I said, "Okay, well, I've got this recipe, half-assed recipe that I've worked on, but sanity check it for me." And he took it away. And came back with a few really minor tweaks, just the ratios of some of the ingredients that needed a bit more oats, a bit less of this, and the hop bill that I'd had, which was originally Equinox, Mosaic, Eldorado, and what was it originally? Eldorado and Mosaic.
Citra.
No, I didn't have Citra in it. He swapped. I can't remember the other one at the time. He swapped a couple of hops around. So we went with his hop recommendation, and he came down to the brewery. We brewed it. We filmed it actually. This is one of the episodes. We filmed it, and I'm still like, this is never going to work. Who am I going to sell it to? And then it became our best-selling beer for 3 months straight. So what do I know? So. And it's got a permanent line at the bar, and it's got a permanent line at the tap room, and I can't make it fast enough. And bear in mind, I'm making this. I think there's something daft like 8 kilos of hops in the dry hop or something. And I've got open top fermenters, and the equipment that I'm using is not good for making sure we're not getting oxygen and air into things. And some of the pipes I'm using are a bit leaky, and it doesn't really matter when you're doing cask as long as it's clean. A bit of oxygen gets in, it's going to come out in the secondary in the cask, right? So we've got to be super careful about how we make it. What I really need, if we're going to do more of this style of beer, is a decent DPV fermenter, a cylindro-conical fermenter, and I don't have to mess around. I just do it in one tank.
Yeah, keep it all.
Get some pressure in it, whatever. At the moment, we're winging it a bit. So I'm putting quite short. Actually, not on this one. Well, on May 2026. I've been putting quite short dates on it. I want it, once it's in the containers, I want it sold within, weeks to a month or two max. I don't want it hanging around for long.
To be fair though, and I mean it's come out of the can incredibly well, right?
Yeah.
So kudos to your to your
it drinks very fresh, doesn't it?
And I don't think that has picked up any oxygen on the journey from tank. Honestly, I'm getting it's amazing, lemon meringue aroma.
Yeah,
yuzu.
Well, it's good.
What actual hops are in it?
We've got Citra, Mosaic. We've got. You know what? I should know this off the top of my head, shouldn't I? Hang on.
Did you say Equinox?
No, not Equinox.
That was the original.
That's not what's in it.
Eldorado?
Eldorado, Mosaic, Citra. What's the other one?
Galaxy?
No.
No.
I think Muslim
It's not ripping your taste buds off. So
No.
I can't have Galaxy in there.
I'm gonna have to remind myself.
Idaho 7?
No.
Amarillo.
Yes, it's Amarillo. Of course it is. Yeah, it is.
I was gonna say because I get a real sort of tangerine-y kind of orange vibe off of this, which I think is
It's definitely citrus.
Citra,
sometimes we
Mosaic,
get off Citra, but yeah.
Eldorado, Amarillo, and it was the Equinox originally that I had in, which we replaced with the Citra
Yeah.
Right, cool.
Okay.
on that one. Yeah.
Funny you mentioned the yuzu thing, Owen, as well, because this does remind me a little bit of the Allura. Hot kind of aroma and taste a little bit as well. But
It's just got a real nice citrus, but with a tang. And I'm only talking about the aroma. There's this real hint of quite almost sort of sharp citrus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I haven't even tasted it yet. I've just been enjoying it with my nose. It's been in the glass for about 10 minutes. I'm going to drink it now.
Me and Chicky have tanned half of ours.
yeah, I was just topping up from last night now, so it's like
No, just
Oh,
we're in that
tomorrow's
drinking
gonna be
mode,
fun.
recovery. Yeah.
I mean, that is good. Andy, I do think you need to be diving into a few more hazy IPAs. The need for haze is out there. There's big demand for hazy, juicy beers. I think he's discovered.
Absolutely. It was also a conscious effort, I think, to start with, to let's not try and compete, because every little new brewery that starts up wants to make hazy juice bombs, and that's the rat race that you join there as well. You compete with all these guys, the startups, all producing the same style essentially, New England style hazy or whatever, and we found our niche, which is very sessionable 4%ers, and the market around here demands that. If we were in central Manchester or in a big city, then perhaps we may have a better market for more of this stuff. But I was just concerned we didn't have the audience for it within the locality. But actually now we've got our own pub, right? And I've got 10 keg taps there, so I can put what I want on. So even if we're not selling it, externally, we can definitely be selling it in the pub.
Easier to introduce stuff like that when you've got your own kind of captive audience as well, right? So you can really push your own, experiments and stuff on the regulars and.
Exactly. I had no bittering hop in this at all, by the way, to start with. And that was another change that Liam made. I didn't put anything in. I was like nothing until
10.
Whirlpool essentially. And then Liam was like, you need a bit of something in front end. So there's actually about 250 grams of mosaic right at the beginning of the hour.
Wow. Okay.
And that's the only bitter in addition. Nothing then until Whirlpool.
Yeah, and it's not immediately obvious either. It doesn't present as being a bitter beer, but I think it just helps that balance, doesn't it? Just in terms of drinkability.
Yeah.
Someone said in the chat, I think it was Jack, it kind of beguiles its ABV as well. It gives the impression of a fuller body beer.
Yeah, I've this is the third spin of it that you're drinking now. So, and the ABV sort of floated around a little bit as well. Not too much, but we were 5.2, then 4.8, then 5, that was just as we were sort of tweaking some of the ingredients a little bit and messing around with mash temperatures as well. I think it needs more body still. There's some dextrin in it, but we might need to look at chit or something. I just looking to get a little bit more a
bit of mash
texture in there.
Big fan.
Could you not mash higher?
Well, we're at 69 to 70 now, 69 and a half. So we could push it a little bit further, but then we're getting into dangerous territory there, I think.
Yeah, more oats, more wheat.
Yeah.
Or maybe the yeast. Switch the yeast.
Yeah, it's Verdant.
Yeah, what yeast are you using, Andy?
It's the Verdant yeast, yeah.
Verdant yeast.
Hazy IPA one,
Yeah, it's good yeast. It's good yeast.
Yeah.
Do you recycle yeast in the brewery? No, just
no.
pitch dry.
Again, it was time and it's time versus cost thing. Most of my beers will dose with a full 500 gram brick of whatever it is, SO4, USO5, usually most of the beers that we use. And it's in the region of 35 quid, for 818 litres.
Not for the Verdant brick, though.
It's not a lot of money. And obviously for me, it's VAT. There's no VAT either. So, it's very expensive as a home brewer. Yeast's obviously one of your most expensive ingredients, typically.
Can be.
The idea of spending time dropping it out and cleaning it up and just for the sake of 30 quid, it's not worth it at this stage. So we use fresh yeast every time. Yeah, I do give yeast away. Plenty of homebrewers coming around with little buckets and jam jars.
Uncle Ben's jam jars.
yeah, exactly.
Very, very charitable.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And we've struggled with yeast a little bit. We said before Fermentis, and I've stuck with Fermentis now, but I have moved around the generic English ale yeast and generic California Chico style yeasts with massively varying results in attenuation. And even from the same manufacturer sometime, and I know I've changed nothing, and I'm getting a 5% difference in attenuation from one batch to the next of their yeast, and I don't get that with Fermentis. It's super dependable. It just works.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things with Fermentis. Yeah, they are super consistent.
Yep.
I agree.
That's awesome. So, Andy, you've got. I guess you've sent us a range of your core beers.
Yeah, all of them apart from one.
Yeah, apart from the one we're drinking now, right? Which I know you're making a lot of, but may or may not be a core beer. How have you approached beer design? What's been, obviously you're going for kind of more traditional beer styles.
Yeah,
definitely featuring into drinkability.
Yeah,
but what goes through your mind? Talk us through the kind of beer design thinking.
It all starts with the commercial reality that is in front of us, right? And I'd love to be able to have the ability to to freestyle something and just stick it out there, but I've got limited cold room capacity. I can hold 5 or 6 core beers once we've produced in the cold room. After that, we're full. So everything that's in that cold room's got to turn. And it's important that we're feeding the cash flow. And every experiment that we do that may not work is dangerous, essentially. So we start with the customers, and I talk to the customers in the pub all the time. What are you drinking? What do you like about it? And other publicans in the area. What are the gaps? What can't you get? What are customers asking you for? And that's the start of it. So, I'm not coming at it from I found this great new hop, or I found this great new, technique. It's what are the customers going to drink, and what will those publicans be prepared to put their hand in their pocket for me to deliver beer to them. And around here, with the customers that we deal with, the other bars and our own direct customers in the bar, 70% of what we sell at Four Priests in Sandbach. Bear in mind, we've got 6 cask lines and 10 keg lines. 70% of all the beer that we sell is on those cask lines. And 70% of that is 4% session beers.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where the money is, and that's how I'm going to be able to pay the bills. So we start there. All right. So what can I produce, which is, I'm going to be able to put more of on those lines, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel with a sour or a imperial stout or something that we're going to sell very little of.
Yeah.
And we're working on one at the moment. We sell a ton of, as Chris has put in the chat, I think we sell a ton of Ossett White Rat. It's a very pale, citrusy, hoppy, bitter session ale. And we sell 5 firkins a week at our pub. 5 a week.
That's
a
quite
lot, right?
That's a lot.
So we're turning between 15 and 18 firkins a week, and 5 of them are Ossett White Rat, right? So there's something going on there that they like. None of my beers are bitter hoppy, and none of them are super pale like that one. So maybe that's something we should think about. I'm not just trying to reproduce it. I could get the recipe and make White Rat. Of course I could. That's not what we want to do. But there are characteristics there that are of appeal. So what we're doing with that is I'm going to invite the White Rat super fans to a camera-led tasting session of that beer at our place. And we're going to help them to understand and help them to vocalize what they like about that beer. Because when you talk to them, why do you like it? Oh, I don't know, I just like it. Well, yeah, but is it the smell, the aroma, the mouthfeel, the texture, the hops, the alcohol strength, the colour? So we'll work with them to elicit some idea of which boxes we need to tick. And then I can then take that profile, and then we can design a beer around it. If it's similar hops on the hop wheel, then we can position our hop selection there, and we can do a couple of pilots and see if we're hitting the spot with that. So that's how we're going about it currently. In terms of previous designs, we've been sort of led by customers. Gingerbeard was led by a request that we'd had. Get Lucky, the American Pale, was a specific customer demand. They were looking for a reasonably punchy, but not an IPA, something with good strength but not too ridiculously hoppy. So it's American Pale for me all day long. So that was where Get Lucky came from. So it tends to be customer demand rather than me sitting in a dark room coming up with ideas from scratch. Yeah. If that answers the question, I don't know.
Yep. Sorry, that seems to be a quite strange zoo-like sound coming from outside my window. I think it might be foxes, but I'm not too sure.
Sounds like a budgie or something like that.
It does sound like a bird.
Yeah, I was beginning to wonder whether Andy had birds, and I was like, oh no. Actually that's me.
Not for many years. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just on the Ossett Brewery website, just having a look to see if I can get any clues. So I'm like, what?
No info on it, really, is there?
No, there's not.
What the beer
just
actually
pale,
is?
4%.
You've not tried it. You've not tried White Rat. Yeah, you should try it.
I haven't tried it.
It's a cracking beer. It really is. We sell a ton of it. And I'd just rather it was mine.
No.
It's not going to go anywhere, but I think, it's a journey that we're on. We need to understand, if that's 70% of the 70%, then that's quite a substantial.
Might have to do a sneaky order from Ossett Brewery then, see what they're about.
We love Ossett. They're a great bunch. They take very good care of us. We're not, we're not about to try and replace them, but if we're on a rotation alongside them, then if that's what customers are looking for, I don't want to disappoint them with. We've tried Mergy Straight on that line, and it's just not. It's too soft. It's not hoppy enough. It's there's no bitterness. It's slightly darker. It's just not what they want.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
I've
Interesting
not been
range of beers,
focusing on the
actually.
chat at all. Is there any questions anyone's asked that I need to dip back into? By the way, I feel very ignorant.
I think we've probably been surfacing them as we've gone along.
Can we move to
Someone did
cast
ask whether
time?
Yeah.
Is it true that divine hibernation tastes better if you don't swear whilst drinking it? Asking for a friend.
It tastes the same whether you're swearing or not.
No, fair enough. Someone did ask what about spelt? I think we were talking
never
about...
used spelt. Is that... what was that for? Is that to give us a bit more
wheat.
body? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were probably talking about adding body to the beer. We were talking about potentially experimenting with chit or spelt's an interesting one. I think it can add a sort of slight spiciness. Not quite rye, but it's could be an interesting one to explore.
There was a question about whether or not you'd ever put this divine hibernation on cask as well. I think we actually asked you about that. Yeah, how did that go?
Yeah, it's solid. Yeah, it's a good beer on cask. I prefer. It just feels a little bit wrong. That style, and again, we're going back to our trad audience and those 6 cask lines. We've got one at the moment from Merlin, a local brewery here, called Mythic, and it's a great kind of. It goes on our strong line. It's like 5.5%. And there's a slight opacity to it. There's nothing wrong with the beer. I've spoken to Dave, the brewer, and it's beautiful. I've had several pints of it myself recently. But because it's not crystal pin bright, there's people bringing it back. There's something wrong with this. It's like, no, there's literally nothing wrong with it. I know there isn't. We put a hazy on. We're immediately going to disillusion half the drinkers in there who I don't want this modern muck. Back on the keg lines, so
because with cask it can, like, if something that's meant to be pin bright can come out hazy because the yeast it's in suspension, it's not had enough time to settle in the stillage or the finings, or it's been knocked or something, or it's the very last pint out of the cask as well. So that's why people probably come back and go, oh, this is hazy, this isn't right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to meet the expectations a little bit. It's funny, how your attitudes change. If you were to look up through my homebrew recipes pre Four Priests, right? I was making all kinds of wacky stuff, and you almost feel like you're selling your soul a little bit by going like, oh no, we want traditional, bright cask, nothing too fancy, nothing too high ABV, not too many hops. But the reality is we're still here as a business because we focused on that, and we wouldn't have been if I'd have been producing, kumquat IPAs and Russian Imperials. We just wouldn't have sold anywhere near as many as we need to keep the lights on. So, no regrets.
Have you thought about making a kumquat Imperial Stout?
Well, we could do sort of 9-10% ish, something like that. Yeah, that'll work. I'm sure I could sell litres and litres of it.
And
every pint you buy, you get a free kumquat.
Yeah, I'm sure you would have went full circle anyway. See, with the homebrewing game, you were doing all this experimenting stuff. See if you'd went and continued with your homebrewing, I bet you would have went back to 4% crystal clear pales, super drinkability. Because I'm pretty sure that's what I'm chasing at the minute, is having super drinkable beers in the kegs and the cask. So. The
occasional splash into something a bit more.
Yeah, but hazy. Yeah, exactly. But these days,
the last beer that I made was before doing this commercial thing. The last beer that I made was actually a recipe that I found. It might have been in one of the Brewdog books. It wasn't a Brewdog beer though. And it was called Disco Soleil. It's a Canadian brewery, and it's full of kumquats. The kitchen was a complete state because the amount of kumquat pulp and bits and pieces. This thing was absolutely rammed with kumquats. It was gorgeous, actually. So if you see that recipe anyway, Disco Soleil, I would strongly recommend brewing it. I think it was a 7%er as well, but it was gorgeous. Yeah, it's some French name, the brewery. Yeah, worth a
Brilliant.
go. But yeah, I'd never be able to sell it. Warm hug. Oh, it's Gaz again. When the eventual zombie apocalypse occurs, what will be your weapon of choice? I would say shards from solar panels. That's what I will use.
Yeah, taped to each fist.
Yeah,
in kind of a Rambo style.
Yeah, there's a
Not
question
sure
for you.
Rambo
Out
ever
the chat.
did that, but
yes, I do, and I have 20 litres of a Russian Imperial Stout in a corny keg right now, just sort of sitting there doing its thing for a while.
So, what Mr. B asked was, do you ever go back to your homebrew kit and brew experimental for the brewery?
Exactly what we did with that. It was I brewed it on my 50-litre homebrew kit, which I knocked the dust off, and we set it up at the brewery actually. But it was my homebrew kit, so I could do sort of 50-litre pilots, just enough for a corny and a few cans or whatever.
This is slightly weird for us giving you questions from the man that sat next to you in the room, but Chris asked, how important has the homebrew turned commercial brewing community been to your success? Thanks for the question, Chris.
Massively supportive, definitely, and he sat in my house, right? This is one of my homebrewing buddies from a long time ago. So yeah, no, huge, and just giving you the energy and the fuel and the motivation when those cold, very cold winter mornings when I'm rocking up at the brewery with a road saw or a lot of plumbing fittings and soaking wet and whatever. And then making a video and then getting the feedback, you're like, oh, that was worth doing it. It was worth getting up at 6 a.m. People are watching, they're engaged. It was just gave you a little bit of a boost actually through that process. And then when we finally had beer in bottles and cans, and I'm looking at the names on the orders that are coming through, it's like I know these guys. These are guys from the Homebrew Forum, and these are guys that have been watching the YouTubes, and it was amazing to know that that they were engaged so much that they wanted to support. They're supporting by watching anyway, just to give you that that morale boost. But actually putting their hands in their pocket and placing orders for 50, 60, 100 quid sometimes on cans. You're like, shit, we've got something here. We've built this community, and they're engaged and they want to help us. It's great. And even now at the pub, at least once or twice a week, I'll get an email or a message through YouTube saying, hey, I'm coming through town and love to come in and meet you. And people will come in, buy a few beers. I've had people travel from Australia, from the US, all parts of the UK, to come and see the place in real life. And it's amazing.
It's awesome.
Cool. I've got, Andy, part of this I wanted to actually get into is talk about cask beer. And as a home brewer, how do I get into cask beer? And just how, because the things I wanted to look at was like designing beers for cask, then it was like packaging, because it's like all the stuff out there just now so far has been putting it into kegs and then putting it up with the check valves and but that's not really true to, I think, what we've seen Baggers now doing, and it's like Baggers has shown he's got his cask sitting there and he's got everything hooked up, and so I really kind of wanted to ask yourself about how, as a home brewer, I would get into that, and then like even things like I was reading about, and it's like you've got hard pegs, you've got soft pegs. When do you use them for? I mean
the brewed recipe design is a whole other thing, right? In terms of,
do you want it to finish dry? That's what I'm thinking. Do I want it to be that sort of 1.006 or 1.008? You don't want your beers being like 10, 12 or anything like that sort of thing. Is that right?
Some of mine finish there. I mean, the stout often finishes, certainly above 10, 10, 11, 12 quite often. The Murgie's very dry. the Divine, when we put it in cask, that's a 10-14 finish, for example. And I'm not a big fan on cask for the reasons that I said, but it works on cask. So I think it's just down to your preference. If you want it dry, then you can you can push it to try and get a low finish. But I would say anywhere sort of 10-8 to 10-12 is probably my preference. I would say, but I don't think there's any hard and fast rules. The key with it is knowing where you're going to finish. If you're going to do it properly, because 2 points from when you're going to finish, and you don't know when you're going to finish, 2 points from that is when you want to get it into the packaging.
Right. Okay.
Because you want to have enough viable yeast and sugars in there so that you're going to get that secondary fermentation, which is what's going to give the beer its life, essentially. Otherwise, you're going to have potentially quite a flat experience depending on how you're going to serve it. I mean, there's a few little workarounds to that, but traditionally you're going to brew your beer the same way that you would anyway.
Okay.
You're probably going to use some copper finings. Again, thinking of clarity, so protoflox, etc., which you may use anyway. Don't know.
Browsol? Could you use Browsol? I don't know.
You can, but in terms of in the packaging, well, I'll tell you what I do. Brew day, fermenter, yeast in, and then I'm if I'm going to do this properly, I'm waiting to get 2 points above my expected final gravity. Now, if you've brewed the same beer over and over, you know what that's going to be, right? So for your first attempt, going to be interesting. You're going to have to guess, right? But once you brewed it a couple of times, you're good. At that point, we're racking from that fermenter into a cask.
Yeah.
I've got a picture of a cask. I don't know how to show it. The ones at the bottom of the screen there. Cask 1.
Add to stage this one.
So so you'll see that. I can't quite tell from the scale. There's no banana for scale, but that's the same configuration as a firkin or a pin. You'll see there's a hole in the side, and then there's a little hole in the top on the middle picture. Yeah. And what you're going to do is you're going to really clean that, scrupulously clean it, and then you're going to put a keystone in that little hole at the top. It's like a rubber stopper, and then you're going to put the cask on its side with that big hole facing upwards. And then you're going to just transfer that beer directly from the fermenter using gravity. You don't need to pump it in. You're not bothered about oxygen. You're just going to fill it with gravity until it's overflowing out of the hole. You get a bit of foam first. If it's been a splashy fill, I tend to try and make it as least splashy as I can. And at that point, during the fill, you're going to drop. If it's a firkin, 9-gallon firkin, you're going to put about 40 mils of Browsol in the cask, rather than in the tank, right? And then you're going to whack in the stopper, which is called a shive. You're going to whack it in, and you're going to roll it round a bit, and you're going to leave it somewhere for a few weeks, a couple of weeks. And at that point, you're ready to sell it or consider dispensing it. When you dispense it, if you go to tilt. Traditionally, it looks like that. So you're going to put the cask on its side with the big hole you filled it with at the top. And you've got this device underneath, which is called an auto tilt. So depending on how much beer is in the cask, it will adjust the angle. And the sediment in the cask, the precipitation for the Browsol is going to fill the belly of the cask, and the clear beer is going to sit above it. What you're going to do first is you're going to knock a hole through that stopper at the top, through the shive.
Is that when you use the hard peg first?
Well, what you want to do is get some air in there, right? Because you've suspended animation, really, at the point that you packaged it. There's still some yeast in there, and the oxygen's been consumed, but there's still some yeast and there's still some sugar because you finished 2 points above where you were going to. So you're going to whack a hole through that, and you're going to let the air in. Normally, I would put a soft peg loosely in the hole, so we're definitely getting some oxygen ingress, and you're going to leave that. And bear in mind, you're going to set it up on this tilt probably the day before you're going to do anything with it, right? You're going to leave it there in position. Then the day after, you're going to whack a hole through the top, and then you're going to leave it. Depending on the beer, it varies from brewery to brewery, but another day or so,
Yep.
minimum, I would say. You've already whacked that tap in through the keystone hole, the tap you can see poking out the bottom there, but you're not going to turn that on.
No.
And then once you're ready to serve, you can turn the tap and dispense the beer. And obviously, you may have a hose connected to that up to your handle. And as you're extracting the beer, you're creating a negative pressure in the cask. It's going to suck air in through the soft peg in the top of it. At the end of service, when you close the pub up for the night, you don't want that continual exposure to oxygen. So you're going to put a hard peg in.
Right, okay.
You're going to stop it off and you're going to close the tap. So that's what your hard peg's for. So that's traditionally how it would have been done. If you go to beer festivals, you'll see this orientation. And many pubs dispensing or establishments dispensing straight from that tap into a glass, in fact. But we would use a beer engine.
Yeah.
This is still quite popular, but certainly my experience around here is everybody's moved away from this tilt system now. And if you've got a cask wedge, what we're doing is this. So you leave the shive intact. You're not knocking a soft peg or a hard peg through it, the one on the side. And what you're going to do is whack in this cask wedge device. And for the home brewers, this is a floating dip tube. So inside that plastic thing there is a silicone hose with a filter on the end and a float, like a fishing float. And it's going to sit on the top of the beer. So as you've put the cask into position in your cellar, the sediments settle to the bottom of the cask, and you're going to be drawing beer from the top. So it's clearer at the top than it is at the bottom, so you can serve it a little bit quicker. If you look just to the left of the person's knuckle there, you'll see a little wooden peg poking out the hole. That's where the air gets in. So as you pull the handle on your beer engine connected to the hose, the cask still needs to replace the beer with something, or it's going to implode potentially, or you're going to create a vacuum. So you can put a soft peg in that hole. And actually, you don't need to put a hard peg in those, because if you look at the grey thing next to the wooden peg, there's a little tap there, and you can shut it off. Yeah. So at night, you turn them off, and in the morning or lunchtime when you open up, you turn it on again. And the benefit with these is if you don't want any air in your cask, you can replace that peg with a cask breather, which is a hose. That's that. Okay. So on one side of that device, you're going to have CO2 at low pressure, couple of psi probably, and it's not.
Did you say up to 10, Andy? You could put 10.
Yeah, and you can probably go higher. You just don't want to push through the membrane inside it, basically. So as long as there's nothing coming out, you're good. And you put CO2 on one side, and then it's a bit like if you've ever been scuba diving, the mask or the mouthpiece, it's not pushing air in all the time. It only delivers air when you suck on it. And it's the same principle with the cask breather. So as you pull the handle on your beer engine, it's creating a vacuum and negative pressure in the cask. And the cask needs to fill this space with something, and it will suck CO2 in. So the beer in the cask is not exposed to air. Therefore, you'll get a longer life from that beer. So where we would normally say try and use the beer within 4 days, maybe 5, a real push, and you'll start to taste it's going wrong. When you've topped that cask off with CO2 constantly from when it was initially opened and vented, you're going to get fresher beer for longer. And depending on who you speak to, this can give you an extra 4 days, 5 days, a week. So as a home brewer, if you don't think you're going to get through a whole pin, 4.5 gallons, if you're not going to get through a whole pin in one weekend, you might get through it in 2. And a cask wedge
which makes sense.
And breather. You can use the breathers on the other orientation on your tilt. Instead of putting your soft peg in the top or your hard peg in the top, you put the end of the hose from one of these devices on a little adapter that sticks in. It does the same thing. So that's the dispense method. Now, in terms of fining, we mentioned Browsol, but Browsol's more effective if you use an auxiliary fining alongside it. So it's anywhere between, I think, 1 and 3 grams per litre. So in my tanks, I'm putting just under 3 litres of an auxiliary fining in. And what that does is aids in the negative charge of all the bits that are in suspension. It doesn't do any fining itself as such, but it prepares the beer ready for when you're adding it to the cask alongside the Browsol. Then it helps the Browsol to basically coagulate all of that suspended sediment, and it forms a gel. which drops to the bottom of the cask.
Yeah.
And if ever you've shaken the bits out of a cask that's had a browsol dose in it, sometimes if it was a particularly cloudy beer, you'll get this. It's like a jellyfish that blobs out. I hope no one's got a sensitive stomach. A friend of mine at Hush Brewery in Northwich said they call it the beer placenta. Just this big jelly blob thing that comes out. But you can see how much sediment you've got out of the beer when you see this big blob. Yeah. So auxiliary refining and browsol, and you're very good sponsor. The malt mill, I think, sells browsol. I don't know if they probably do auxiliary refining as well, but they definitely sell 23 ml vials of browsol, which should be sufficient for a pin. One of those.
Cool.
I was just having a look on the website. Actually, they do have a finings adjunct, which is.
Have they got an adjunct? That's the one. Yeah. So you'd adjunct in your tank. We drop it in and we have to leave it because it drops at about a meter a day through the tank.
Right.
In your homebrew kit, it's probably done in a few hours, I guess.
Yeah.
And then and I use 40 ml of browsol in a 41 litre cask, essentially. So it's half that. It's like I said, their 23s are probably fine for a corny or a 4.5 gallon pin.
Cool.
So why is auxiliary refining?
They're all silicate based. I don't know exactly the chemistry of it, but essentially it's going to negatively charge the sediment, ready for the browsol to catch that. Like, not I was going to say like a magnet. I don't suppose it is, but it's a positive negative charge thing. Whether they're attracted to each other and they flock and drop better when you've got the auxiliary refining in the work or in the finished beer. Browsol on its own will work, but it definitely has a noticeable improvement in clarity if you use both.
Wow. Ibo asked whether you can use Anusol instead.
Apparently, yes. You can use Anusol. Yeah, I'm not sure if it might give you a slightly kind of germaline taste to your beer, maybe.
I've heard it's a pain in the arse.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Jeez.
We've all been there. I was going to say your placenta comparison was probably only understood from anyone that's actually had children.
You wouldn't eat that either.
Experience.
No. I was just going to ask you, but you were talking about how the 2-point gravity thing, but could you actually just prime the cask with sugar?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's the traditional proper way to do it, and you talk to the camera guys, and that's the only way. It's not the only way, and the camera guys know that as well. So the other option, and what I used to do with the work travel, right? I was never around when I needed to be around. I was traveling somewhere, so I'm like, nah, it's finished. Like, fermentation's done, but there's still viable yeast there. And we're going to rack into cask, and we're going to dose a cask with grams of sugar. You can, if you've got Brewfather, you can work that out based on the litres of beer.
Can you remember off the top of your head, Andy?
Yeah, it's about 100. It's about 100 grams in a 9-gallon firkin. So you took 50 grams in a pin or a corny, I would say.
Well, that's quite a lot.
So but what you're looking for is, again, it's personal preference, right? So I aim for 1.6 volumes. So the calculators will work that out for you based on your fermentation temperature and what type of sugar, whether you're using dextrose or table sugar or whatever.
Yeah.
So it all varies a little bit. But for me, with silver spoon granulated sugar, it's about 100 grams per firkin. The issue with that for me is HMRC, right? I'm adding more sugar. What's my ABV? It's just gone up a little bit, and it's only a little bit, but they want to know. So then you've got complicated formulas to work out. I've got 41 litres or 40.9 because I've got to hydrate it in waters. 40 point something litres of beer at 4%, and then I've got sugar with a specific gravity of this, and add it together and take the average and blah blah blah. So no, it makes it a bit more complicated. So, but yeah, you can do that. There is another way as well.
Which
is if you can catch it just as you're done, crash it cold immediately. Get it as cold as you can, as fast as you can. There's residual carbonation. If you've ever tasted your beer before you've carbonated it, there's always a bit.
Yeah.
And quite often that's enough for cask.
Yep.
Quite often. So if you crash it and lock that CO2 in, and then you're going to serve it through a sparkler on a hand pull,
That'll be fine.
it's good enough. It's
I think that's what Baggers does. Is that not what Baggers does? Because I'm sure he says he just chucks it in.
Yeah, Harry does the same. If you're going to let it sit in the tank at fermentation temperature for quite a while, then I'm guessing you're going to gas off that CO2 or a proportion of it at least. But you get it cold fast and get it into casks and get them sealed up.
Yep.
Then hooked up to a hand pull with a sparkler. I'd challenge anyone, and I did a side by side with the camera guys at our place where I had one that had been primed and one that had been fermented to completion, both on a hand pull, and they couldn't tell the difference either.
Nah.
I was just about to say there's bound to be no difference really flavour wise between any of those methods.
No, and the aeration you get from the sparkler as well. You get in the texture and the mouth feel that you would want anyway. So just depends how true to tradition you want to be. But yeah, if I'm sending beer to a beer festival, I'm sending it to a pub that I've never supplied before. If I'm unsure of their dispense system, are they using sparklers? Are they not? Is it gravity straight into a glass from the cask? You got to be really careful, because if it is fermented out to completion and it's not been cold enough and the CO2's been knocked out of it, then you're going to have a pretty flat experience. And that actually happened to me when we very first did our first beer festival. It was one at Crewe, the Crewe Rail Ale Festival at the Railway Heritage Centre. It was the flattest murgy you've ever had in your life. It was drunk and no one complained, but I knew it wasn't right. So we make sure if they're going to go to a festival, if I've not caught it and done the 2 points thing, then it's going to be primed.
Yeah.
Every time.
Was that gravity fed sort of cast just on a rack kind of festival type serving?
Yeah, you just hold the glass under it, turn the knob, and just let it run in.
It's a bit of a bugbear of mine for those sorts of camera festivals that all the beers are universally flat for that
trying
reason.
Trying to smash a bit of life into it by pouring it from a metre, 2 meters.
Yeah,
try and get some bubbles in. It's not the same. No.
Yeah. But
most of them now have gone to sort of full hand pull setup, and say round here it's all sparklered anyway. So you can hide behind that, but it just feels a bit of a cheat, to be honest. But it does work.
Indeed.
I love that. No, well, thanks for sharing some really, really useful insights into cask.
No problem.
That homebrewers can actually start to use. Like, I know Andy was super keen. He's actually going to go and do it. He's like a sponge trying.
Well, you've got the pin already, haven't you, Andy?
Yeah, I got the auto tilt.
How do I do this?
Yeah, the auto tilt turned up today, and then
the tilt as well.
I've got the tilt. Yeah, it came today, and would you call it? So my plan is I've got Ross and Dell coming down in like next month or something, and I brewed up Yal, so it's the Citra one, the Fine Ale Yal. Got that in. It's been conditioning. The idea is we're going to hook up beer engine, absolutely demolish it in a day, right? An attempt to demolish it in a day, and then see how it goes. And then I'll look at cask brewers, I think, because moving forward, then if I want to put it in myself, then I'm going to have to do that method, and then have maybe 2 weeks of just absolutely tanning a pin myself. So yeah, we'll see.
Or at least it gives them some insurance, doesn't it? Like if you have a weekend on it with the boys, at least if there's 8
Buns
to 10
festival,
pints left or whatever,
buns or something, maybe just turn up with a hand pull in a cask or what, or gravity fed.
Yeah,
you never know.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
But yeah,
that's fun.
I'm just at the minute I'm sponging, trying to get the information. I asked Baggers as well to do that video that he did with the cask dispense and how his system works. Yeah, and then obviously Andy, we've got yourself on tonight, and I know that you've got lots of experience of serving real ale. So I was like, yeah, I need to ask him some questions on how you do it as well. So yeah,
he's gone for the super traditional, correct method. Casks on the side, tilts, and
he's got breathers though. He does have the breathers.
yeah, he does. We don't need them at the pub because we turn the beer quick enough that it's consumed before there's any chance of it passing its best. So
yeah,
on cask, So yeah, we don't really bother at the brewery, at the tap room. When we're only open at the weekends, I put one in there to try and get anything that we put on one weekend, see if we could run it into the following weekend. But even with a breather, wasn't that, apart from the dark beers and the higher ABV beers, get cross stout and get locky, fine, it works. If it's a Sunday afternoon session and a cask goes, I can put another one on, and I know that it's going to be good the following weekend. For the Murgy and the Moston Dragon, it's done. If I put it on a Sunday, by the Friday opening of the following week, you can just taste it's not right.
Do you think it's the CO2's kind of escaped out as well, and it's not as bright in a sense?
I don't know. I mean, it's gonna sit there if it's sealed tight. I don't see how. Well, I mean, you could get some air in, I suppose, but I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think us thirsty boys, our slurpers, have ploughed in to get lucky, Andy, already.
Oh, have you boys?
I don't know whether you've kept pace with us, Andy. I know you've been talking a lot.
I'm still on Murgy Straight.
Nice.
No, I'm not.
How are you?
I'm on the hibernation. So
Good on you. Tell us a bit about Get Lucky.
Get Lucky was a pub down the road. One of our first two customers, called the King's Lock. I've mentioned them a lot in the videos. They're a music venue and independent pub, certainly for all the cask. They support local breweries as a preference as much as possible. The beers that you see in there mostly are from within 20 miles around here. Not all, but most. And we've been supplying them with Murgy Straight and Moston Dragon and Cross Stout. And then I had a call one day from Jack, who buys the beer there, saying he'd heard that Beavertown had now been acquired by Heineken, the remaining share, and they weren't big fans of macro beers. There is some macro there, but they weren't big fans. And did we have anything that they could replace Beavertown neck oil with? And I said, no, we're a cask brewery, but I'm happy to give it a go. But I'm not going to produce the same beer. What are you looking for? He said, just a reasonably punchy keg beer. And he wanted it fast. I'm like, okay, what have we got? And I went back to the brewery and I had a load of Cascade, a load of Citra, a load of Pale Malt, and I'm like, I can knock an American Pale together pretty quick here. So I did. It's double the amount of Cascade to Citra, but it's only those two hops. That's it.
Like that. Yeah.
And a little bit of Crystal 100, chunk of extra pale, nothing else in it, no wheat, no other adjuncts, just simple. And I brewed it. I said, Jack, I'm going to have to make, this is on the old kit, I'm going to have to make 10 kegs of this. So if what you're saying is you want 10, you're like, we've got a deal. You don't have to take them all at once, but as long as you're going to take them, because I don't think anyone else is going to buy this. So we made 10 and he smashed through them in no time. And then we did it again and again and again. And it was a regular beer there for a while. They've moved on from it now. But after we'd supplied it 2 or 3 times, Jack came to me and said, I think this would work on cask. And I said, it's an American Pale Ale. It's like the two things don't go together. You can't possibly put an American Pale Ale at 5.8 on a cask. One, it's too strong for cask. And two, it's supposed to be cold and fizzy, right? That's the point. And he said, just do it. Humour me. So I put 2 into cask. And I think it was about an hour after he'd just got the first one on. He said, you better bring me some more of this. And oh, God. And then, so I started splitting the brew, and we were doing half in keg and half in cask, and then we put it on in cask in the tap room, and it's unbelievable the amount of it that we sell at that ABV on cask. It shouldn't work, and it does.
It's
got
like
its own.
real sort of harkens back to the sort of
Real
the original
IPA.
kind of like American pale ales, where there was a bit more of that. It's kind of got that English bitter influence in it, but with the extra American hops, which I guess that might be why it does translate to the cask so well.
Thing. It's like people are like, is it a Westie? I'm like, well,
it's more an English IPA, but with American hops.
Yeah.
I've never been quite sure whether I should call it something other than American Pale, because it does confuse the customers. Oh, American Pale. Why is it American Pale? And I just say what you said. It's because it's got American hops in it. Oh, right. And then they'll drink it and they're like, yeah, they're happy.
Yeah, but it's English base.
It's got old school Westie vibes, right?
It's the Cascade, right? It's the sea hops.
Yeah,
so,
it's sea hop, but also it's the malt bill.
Yeah,
using a bit of crystal.
Yeah,
gives that kind of old school West Coast.
Yeah, it's quite out of favour these days, isn't it? To have your crystal,
it's super bready. It's super bready, sort of sweet. Nice. I know it's
got like real brown bread.
They just you breathe it.
Honey on brown bread is what I'm getting for the malt.
That's that one.
So the recipe, I've got the recipe up in front of me now. So 150 kilos, so 6 sacks of crisp clear choice pale, 10 kilos of crystal 100, a bit of water treatment, and then you've got half a kilo of Cascade, and so 500 grams of Cascade, 250 grams of Citra at 30 minutes.
Right, okay.
500 of Cascade and 250 of Citra at 20 minutes. And then 500 of Cascade and 250 of Citra at 10 minutes. Done. Right? A USO 5. So when I said I knocked it together real quick, it was like I didn't even think about, differentiating. It's just 3 identical hop drops. 30, 20, 10. And actually,
and not dry hopped.
No dry hop at all.
No dry hop.
And the idea was it's a first spin, right? So let's keep it simple, and then when we need to tweak it, we've got a base we can work from. I've never needed to tweak it, so that's good. It's got its own line, its own permanent line at the pub now. We sell that much of it, and we keep running out. So go figure.
Mate, it's good. It kind of reminds me of like old school punk IPA in a way.
What's that? Is that? It's what the bitterness or what? Or
I don't know. I think it's just like old school American pale, as Tricky said. Sort of harking back to an age that we've moved on from. But
we all want to go back
in
to
the main
as well.
But there was a reason why it was really great.
We're craving this again, I tell you.
Well, I was thinking, you're sort of like, Sierra Nevadas and things like that, but maybe not. This is not as bitter as that, I don't think. So it's
no, but that's what it is, isn't it?
It's that crossover for the sort of English ale or IPA, like you say, Andy, and then
Sierra Nevada pale. Is that Citra and Cascade?
No, Cascade.
It's
just Cascade.
Pretty much all Cascade, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
This is.
But it's definitely got crystal malt in it as well, so it's one of the. That still has that.
I really like that beer.
I just didn't overthink it. It was like, you want something quick? What have I got in? I had Cascade, a Citra, pale malt, and a bit crystal. Just that was it. Done.
It's not what I expected, Andy. When I sort of looked at the can, opened the can, and drank it, but I'm really enjoying it.
Is it your favourite of the night so far?
No, I mean,
you prefer
I'd be hard pressed to call that a favourite. I'm probably leaning towards the stout. I think the stout was just Murgy and the stout are amazing, but all of them have been incredible standards.
I really like this. This one's probably. I'd say this one's just edging it for me.
Really, each their own. I mean, I'm really enjoying it. It is kind of bringing me back to almost like the beers that got me into homebrewing.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
The first wave of kind of craft beers, isn't it, really, for me?
Yeah.
We've got some stories about this one at 5.8 as well. It's made a mess of a few people. There was a Polish guy that came into the brewery not so long ago, end of the summer, and he had 8 pints. I'm getting to the point. It's getting to the point where I'm going like, I'm going to have to stop serving this guy now. Anyway, he stands up and puts his coat on. I'm like, oh, thank God, I don't have to have that awkward conversation. And he was all right. He was with his family, and they weren't drinking. So, and he said, I just want to tell you that beer is amazing. I said,
Yeah.
I thought you were enjoying it. Yeah. He says, "Did you do take out?" And we didn't have any cans at that point, but we had a load of 2-litre milk containers, milk cartons, which we'd been using at the festival for takeouts previously in the year. So I got some 2-pint takeouts. He said, "Do me 6 of those." And then he left with them fistfuls of milk containers. He left and headed down the street. I'm like, I've never seen him since. I hope he's all right.
Yeah.
But,
his wife probably divorced him after that.
So he left with 12 litres of the.
He did.
Wow.
Yeah, 6 litres in each hand. Yeah.
He fell in a river that night and was never seen again.
That's got to be a record. That's got to be a record for takeout.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
It's good effort.
All good. But
So-
and naturally now it's can and cask. It's I do keg some because we tend to can from keg when we put them in the kegs as like an intermediate storage before we package them. But it's rare that we sell a keg of it now. It's cask and can. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to try it on cask.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know where we are.
Yep. Bit of a drive, but might make the effort. You never know. So, Andy, I know that you talked to us earlier in the week and talked a bit about your journey with the pub.
Yeah.
And the fact that obviously we've talked a lot about the brewery, and we've talked a lot about your journey to opening a brewery.
Yeah.
Coming from a home brewer, you're now a publican.
Yeah. I know. How did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, how did that happen?
Tell us about that story. Tell us what it's like to be owning a pub right now.
It's been a culture shock, honestly. It looks dead easy from the outside looking in. How can it be? Just make sure you don't run out of beer, take money off customers. Yeah, no. Fortunately, we've got a great team there to start with. I've got to say, they've made it a lot easier than it could have been, right? They're brilliant. A real mix as well. It's an experienced guy, Ian, who I'm going to hopefully get him in some videos soon because he's a good guy. He knows. I think we all know the beer, to be honest, but Ian's been around the longest. And Mason and Mark and Patrick, all absolutely love beer. They're not just there as a job to pull the handles and take the money and go home. They're engaged and they understand the product that they're selling and they can talk knowledgeably to the customers. So that's made it really easy. But the just managing cash flow and making sure we never run out of anything. It means you're just constantly on your toes the whole time. You think you've got plenty of stock of everything, suddenly you haven't. And it's like I'm lucky because if we run out of stout, I've got stout at the brewery. If we run out of pale, I've got pale at the brewery. But I don't want my beers there all the time. So we're always trying to get a week ahead of ourselves at least in terms of the beer selection. So that's taken a day of my 5 spare days that I've got now.
Yep.
Just in terms of buying stuff. The maintenance required when we moved in, it needed a complete cellar refit, line coolers, lines. I was showing, Gaz is probably still in the chat, but Gary came, he had the full cellar tour this morning. He'll tell you that, that we've spent a ton of time and quite a ton of money actually getting the ability to serve beer at the best possible quality at the right temperature, which means we've not been able to spend much time on the decor of the place and kind of getting it looking pretty from the outside. We've dealt with the engine of the place first. So, that took months to get it right. And we're still not quite there now, but, it's taken a long time.
Wow.
We're the pub itself, the regulars and the locals are magnificent and have been hugely supportive. They love the place. And it's their pub. It feels like their pub. It's not my pub.
Yeah.
I'm just taking care of the kind of administration of it, but it's their place. That's how it feels when you're in there. So it's been a real eye opener. I was a licensee and a publican because we did the tap room, right? So in terms of the kind of legal requirements and all that stuff, we sort of had that nailed. But you just double the work required when you've got another pub. It's 7 days a week as well, where the brewery wasn't. So I could just go home and leave the brewery, leave the cellar, and I'll worry about that on Wednesday, right? no problem. Not you can't in the pub because someone's got to open the following morning. It's got to be closed down and everything's got to be cleaned and all of those things. So there's a huge amount of work required, but it's good fun. The timing of it was, as we mentioned earlier, was good because without the income from the bar, then I couldn't have quit the day job, which means it was chicken and egg, right? Something had to give. Either I had to quit the job and then sell more beer to trade, or something had to happen, and this happened, which immediately put us in this position where financially it looked like it could work on paper, and so far so good. Touch wood. Once we get through the lean winter months, so yeah, it's
dry January.
Yeah, I know, dry January. Don't start me on dry January. The vegans, it's their fault, all of them.
That's it.
So, no regrets whatsoever, but we've still got a lot of work to do there. There's a really lovely outdoor space that we can use, which is going to help us in the summer. But again, that's going to need probably 10 grand to get it into the shape that we need. Bit of demolition required and paving and things that we need to do. So we're gonna work on that next. And the decor inside the pub is a bit tired. Needs painting the whole place top to bottom. We've had a flood in the last few days. There's some building work upstairs. There's an apartment above the shop, a flat, and the builders have managed to create a leak, which has flooded into the storeroom. Fortunately, not near the stock, but there's drips coming through light fittings and things that we really don't need right now. So pain in the arse, yeah. So we've got that to sort with, and of course, there's no one for me to rely on to do that stuff. When the phone goes, there's water coming through the ceiling. Whose job is that? Well, it's me, right? So. So we've got to do that. But what's amazing is the pub itself was our first customer, and it's been in many videos back in the early days. This was the place where I would go with trial brews. It's the place I would go with labels for cans for people to check. It's where I went with the logo. Once Liv did the logo, she gave me a choice of 5. That's where I went with them to talk to the locals about, like, what do you think works? There's a lot of the DNA in our business today comes from conversations that we had back then. So when it came up, Rich, the previous owner, contacted me, and he knows the kind of vibe of the tap room. We're very there's no jukebox, there's no Sky Sports, it's community based. We've got, like, everyone sits on a table for 8, whether there's 2 of you come in or 5 of you come in. If there's nowhere to sit, you just jump on someone else's table. That's how it works. And it's very similar there. Anyone that comes through the door is welcomed. Conversations start. What are you drinking? What are you drinking? It's all about the beer. So yeah, and again, no music, no Sky, no nothing in there. It's just about the beer and the conversation. And so when Rich was looking to get out of that particular location, he's got another bar that he's spending his time developing now. He was like, it just fits you so well. This place is perfect for you. And I was like, I know, isn't it? So we had a chat, and the price that he wanted was, I didn't even question it. When we got to the numbers, I was like, yep. No problem. I think he probably wished he'd asked for like 20 grand more or something, but yeah, we just did the deal there and then. And I vowed then not to try and turn it into something else, because it works, right? The customers love the variety and the vibe of the place, and we don't want to try and turn it into a Four Priests Brewery tap, because we've got one of those. So if you come into the brewery, what you'll get is all of our beers and maybe one guest sometimes when I've messed up and I've got a slot I need to fill. At the bar, what you'll get is 16 beers to choose from, plus beers from bottled beers and canned beers from craft brewers all around the UK, and imported beers from Belgium, Germany, ciders, local spirits made within 20 minutes of here. There's no Smirnoff vodka. It's Middlewich gin and Sandbach vodka made around the corner. And we really focus on being like fiercely independent. And I get, I had Jeremy Clarkson's bunch in a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, nah, I mean, credit to the guy and what they've done. It's a good story, right? It's not us. Any macro beers that come in, we really have to justify it. We just put Boddingtons on, just 2 casks I bought, the new Boddingtons from JW Lee's. We put it on, and the customers absolutely loved it. But it can't be a permanent line. It can't be. It's a big, not quite a global brewery, but it's a big brewery. So I've just bought 2 casks of Bass. They're sitting in the cellar at the moment as well. So we're gonna put that on as well. But again,
Bagger's been influencing you, perchance.
Sounds like
just,
the InBev, right? I mean, they're the enemy, right? But it just puts a smile on the customer's faces. Oh, I haven't had Bass since I was 18. Well,
Exactly.
get a couple of down you then, and it all helps. So there's a little bit of that. But all the bottled beers, I mean, lots of Munich
Sounds
Helles.
like my kind of pub, Andy. I've got to say, you're selling it to me now. I'm like, I've got to.
Lots
got
of
to
Munich Helles in there. We've got Erlbacher, at Munich Hell. We've got Spezial. We've got the Weiss beer from them. We've got Augustina Edelstoff. We've got Tegensee on draft, which is the best lager in the world, bar none. I'm buying 10 to 15 kegs of that at a time now because we're just churning through it, and they've given us massive support. Everything we needed from the importers. A company called Beer Brücke, German for beer bridge, and they travel to Germany every few weeks, fill the wagon up, bring it back with Franconian beers, and they've got everything basically. But we've really focused on the Bavarian stuff from them. Really is good.
Yum.
What does that say? I'm getting a message from Ibbotson, and he's waving a sign at me.
Wheat beer, it's like a meal.
Oh, wheat beer. Rosberg wheat beer is like a meal.
Wheat beer is always quite a heavy one. Yeah, but it's enjoyable.
I don't mind a wheat. Yeah,
It's a breakfast beer in Germany, isn't it?
it is. Yeah, with a bit of Weisswurst.
They drink it
say.
for breakfast.
Yeah, bit of sausage and a
Yeah, a
wheat
bit
beer.
of sausage.
Absolutely.
Have one of those for breakfast. Sort
Don't
of
matter
go right
anytime.
out for the day.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Sort of morning drinking is considered acceptable in this country, but Germany,
Well, we all like a breakfast
different
stout, right?
rules. Different rules.
How far is the pub from the brewery? 8 minutes, 9 minutes.
Driving.
Close.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and a bus that runs between the two. And I have been known to take customers from one to the other myself as well.
Nice.
Usually when I'm leaving the pub, someone will go,
Awesome.
"You go to Middlewich? Yeah, can I jump in?" And I just take them to the brewery. They'll have a couple there as well. And they go home. Yeah.
Little pub crawl.
Yep.
Your
Sounds
pub crawl.
good.
So I think
Brewery
a
too.
lot of us have jumped into the final beer of the night, which is
The ginger.
Gingerbeard.
Gingerbeard.
Was this inspired by Rick Shaw?
No, it wasn't, but it was inspired by another legend who I'll tell you about in a second. But yeah, it's this is a really sad story. So we're going to finish on it, and maybe there'll be some tears for me and maybe some of the people that are listening. So, Gingerbeard, the pub that we own now, the Four Priests in Sandbach, used to be called the Beer Emporium, and it was managed by a guy called Liam. Liam Bridle was his name, and he was a legend. This is one of those guys that you go into a pub, you'd not been in for 6 months, and you'd walk through the door, and he'd remember what you had last time you came in, and he would have picked a beer for you to try, because he was just one of those guys with, an amazing memory and a great understanding of customers. And he was part of the furniture. Everybody that would walk in the place, "Oh, is Liam in? Is Liam in?" You'd expect to see him there. And he was taken ill. He was only 36, 37 at the time, and he was taken ill just after COVID, and he got like a flu. The whole pub got it. They were down for the weekend, and he had an undiagnosed heart condition, and he passed away within a few days.
Jeez.
And his wife was heavily pregnant at the time, and it was just a terrible story. And we were associates. I wouldn't say that Liam and I were good mates or anything, but he was everybody's friend. It sort of knocked me for six a little bit. Someone so young, and you spent quite a lot of time. And I'd always take my beers in when the prototypes and stuff when we were getting set up, and he'd set them out on the bar, and the customers would drink them, and just to help me get off the ground. And we had some great support from him. And he passed away, and his wife was heavily pregnant at the time, as I mentioned. Then she had the baby, and about 6 months later, I was approached by Ian, who now works for me at the pub, saying he was organising a music event for charity to collect some money for Liam's music charities that he supported, and would have been interested in making a beer for the event, a special beer, for which I would be paid precisely $0. And it will be for sale at the venue and other pubs in the town who were kind of participating and supporting it. And I said, yeah, absolutely, I'll make a beer, no problem. So I took the Murgy Straight recipe and removed the hops and replaced them with Mandarin of Bavaria at the end of the boil as an aroma hop, and 10 kilos of grated root ginger that Sarah and I would grate at the kitchen just over there. We would sit and grate it on IKEA cheese graters because we've done it a few times, this beer now. It was meant to be a one-off. And that goes in at 15 minutes in a big mesh bag. Then we pull it out and then wrap beer into the fermenter, ferment it out, USO5 again. And the reason it's ginger beard is because Liam was 6'7" and had a massive ginger beard. And if you look at the logo on the can, the chin of the heads, you'll see a little chin beard thing going on the can that isn't on any of the other logos. You've fully thrown the can away now, but you see the 4 heads have got 4 little beards in his memory, and and on the side of the can you'll see a little kind of surreal sort of joke about how tall Ginger is, and Liam was a drummer. And Ginger can't play the drums as well as Liam, etc., etc. So anyway, we produced this, sold a ton of it. It was 4.8 to start with, and we messed a lot of people up that night with this beer. Yeah. And then a couple of weeks later, I started getting repeat orders from the pubs. Can you do it again? Do it again. And I'm like, oh, it's not supposed to be a core. I've not got room for another core. But go on, we'll brew it again. So we brewed it, we canned it. And then I got a call from Channel 5 saying, can we make a TV documentary about this beer? Which we did. If anyone's not seen it, if you have a look on Channel 5, catch up. I think I sent the link in the notes that somebody sent.
Let me post the link in the chat.
And you can watch it on there. It was called Britain's Most Scenic Counties. It's episode 1, and it tells the story of Ginger Beard. And we entered a beer festival with Ginger Beard, and you can watch how we got on. There's 3 other stories in the episode, but we feature for a quarter of it or so. So we did that, and then we won some awards for it as well. I think that possibly down to the emotion, but it is solid beer, and it's another one that gets better with age as well. It gets more and more gingery the longer it's been in packaging. Yeah. I don't know why, but it does. It shouldn't. We're not adding anything to it, but definitely the gingeriness is more pronounced. Sort of
it's
2 or
got
3 months.
Proper ginger nut vibes.
It's proper
like,
ginger beer.
When you've eaten like 3 or 4 ginger nuts.
Yeah.
And it starts to like really warm your throat and warm.
But it's not
chest.
burny like old Jamaica ginger beer, right?
But Andy, it kind of is a little bit like it totally reminds me of old Jamaica beer. Yeah, okay, it's not as acidic as like and carbonated bite as old ginger, but it's like it's definitely on the same sort of like ginger in your face sort of thing. Yeah.
So on cask, this is something else. It really is.
So drinkable.
And it ticks the boxes for clarity because it's a bright beer and the ABV. And the fact there's ginger in it is just a bit weird. But when it's on cask, we smash through it. Absolutely smash through it.
I could do damage to 4 or 5 pints of this quite easily, I reckon.
On cask or now?
Yeah. And that's probably true of every one of your beers, Andy. I think if I come to your pub, it's going to be quite dangerous because every one of your beers has been so drinkable. And this good. One to finish on is very, very drinkable. I can imagine if it was any stronger, it could be really dangerous.
Yeah. We were, as I said, we were 4.8, so it was too much. So we knocked it back to 4.3 now, which I think is enough. It's enough.
Yeah, I think it is. It's got such a beautiful aroma. I think what was the thinking around the Mandarina Bavaria, was it just to sort of just bring a little bit of an orange vibe?
Yeah, basically,
a little bit of the noble
it's like
character.
what goes with ginger. Yeah, I was like, I just want something to like complement the ginger, and
citrus.
I was kind of hoping there'd be a Mandarin Bavaria is not. You've got to use a lot of it to really get that Mandarin out, and we don't put that much in. There's only a kilo, but it's done now. It's what it is. If I was to do it again, I'd probably double up. I'd probably put another kilo in, I think, just to get a bit more Mandarin.
The ginger dominates, doesn't it? It's like it's a Mandarina Bavaria in this sort of thing.
It's a bit subtle, yeah. It's there.
And it's supporting acts, isn't it?
It's a back,
It's there just to round out the ginger, just sort of give it like
ginger
citrus
and
and ginger. Such a beautiful combination. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
That's
really
a great
nice
beer, Andy.
Yeah,
it's good.
No problem. Several recipe requests. I might just publish them all and stick them on Brewfather. Actually, just get it done. It's like,
well, if you were to, Andy, that would be incredibly generous of you. I know for sure. I really, really like your stout recipe. That was stand out for me. Absolutely,
Murgy's already out there, guys. So if you just literally go on Brewfather and search,
I actually like Get Lucky. Get Lucky would be. I'd be up for brewing that.
Well, like I say, Andy, I think just do them all because you're going to get requests.
I might as well. Now.
Yeah.
No, it's like and when I was before we had this business and I was brewing, I was constantly looking for recipes for beers that I liked, and there's a lot of breweries that are very closed. It's like trade secret.
It's always baffled me why anyone would be worried about it.
No one's hardly about to produce a beer and call it cross stout, right? I mean, we're not that big that people are going to try and rip us off by cloning the beer.
Even for the bigger breweries, though, it's like just because they have the recipe doesn't mean anyone's going to be able to reproduce it exactly anyway. So it's
Well, we find that
it's a bit of a moot point, isn't it? Really, like the whole clone recipe idea is a bit of a farce anyway, because you can't really do it. So
no, and all beers inspired by and based in something else. So, there's nothing in these beers. This specific combination might be perhaps almost unique, but ultimately, the ingredients, the kind of palette of stuff we've all got to work with, it's the same, right? And you could accidentally produce the same beer as somebody else, just by stumbling across a combination. The hop combos, tried and tested hop combos. I mean, they're pretty consistent, particularly with the hoppy hazy pales. It's the same set of hops, just slightly different proportions, right? No one's invented anything really new here, and the same applies to us. There's nothing super remarkable about any of these beers, except they're smashable, all of them. We're not trying to do crazy things. We just want easy, accessible beers that people can drink a few pints while they chat with their mates, and then go for a kebab on the way home. Mission accomplished.
I think in this day and age in craft, right? I think smashability is an underrated factor.
Should be.
And it shouldn't be, right? Like
it's a absolutely agree.
100%.
Yeah,
and Andy, you've absolutely
commercial reality, right?
You've emulated it.
When we get, it sounds a bit cynical, maybe, I don't know, but if someone walks through the door of that pub, I want them drinking 4 or 5 pints. Right? I don't want them to sit and drink a half or a third of a monster beer, and then leave. I want them to stay in all evening, and I want them to have their fill, because we're going to make money that way. Right? Literally, we're going to make more money. Yeah. So, given the choice of all the beers that we've got, I'm happy that they'll sit on cask and drink 4 or 5 pints. I'm delighted when they want to finish the night on a third of a chocolate mint chip imperial stout, right? But that's the end of the evening, and they've already had their 4 or 5.
10 of those, are you?
They've had their session. It's just that's the little nightcap, right? And that's great. Yeah. It's a little upsell at the end of the night, isn't it? But
I've talked about it a bit recently, saying like sort of I've become a little bit kind of jaded when it comes to hazy beers and big IPAs and things like that, and I think that's basically the reason. Just like I can have a little bit, and then I'm just like, I'm done with that now. I don't want to.
We are all on
drinking loads of that.
we're all in a super lager kick at the minute. Like the last year, I think the amount of lagers
Sessionable lagers, like more
unreal.
more drinkable pale ales and
Yep.
golden ales
Yep.
and things like that, and that's that's what you want a keg of, really, not an 8% dipper.
Right.
Generally.
Shut up. I love a dipper.
Sorry, Owen. Sorry, Owen.
No, it's true.
That's heresy.
You can only drink so much of it. You're right. We've been brewing a lot of lager.
Yes.
But this has really got me very enticed into just more traditional brewing, really, like more simple brewing. And I think so many of the great beers are just simple recipes.
How many times have we been
Simplicity
sent a
is
recipe
beauty.
on like we've been sent a recipe and you go, why, that's so simple? You've said that. You cannot believe how simple the recipe is, and it's like a great beer.
Yeah, I think it's just keep it simple, stupid, and keep just good ingredients, well brewed, creates a great beer. That is like that is brewing 101 right there.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to deviate from the path of just making just very solid beer. So I think there's good lessons in there. Good lessons.
Yeah,
definitely.
And it's been absolutely fantastic to have you. Thank you so much for all of your experience, your knowledge.
Great beers, great chat.
Thank you for the beers.
Really good.
No, thanks for the invitation. Yeah, no, it's been great.
Been brilliant. It's been a
Looking
lovely
forward to
Saturday
all
night.
week. It didn't disappoint. Thank you. Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. So
you're
just
invited anytime. By the way, anytime. Get yourself
I mean, I'm not just saying it for me being on the pub, but I genuinely want to come to your pub. Like, so badly.
I want to.
I'm
just
reading through the chat
worried
now.
what state I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through the chat now. There's plenty of people that have been and experienced it, and some have left in a worse state than us. I'm looking at you, Slurpy Dave, who managed to come down on a boat down the canal. He chugged along and left in somewhat of a mess, having sampled all of our beers with Mr. B. In fact, I
think I would need somewhere where I could fall over fairly close to the pub.
That would be my primary concern. Is how do I get home in the safest possible means? Let's try and organise a trip up to see Andy at some point, and there's a few other places we all want to visit as well, but Andy should be at the top of the list for sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give a quick call out before we close up, in terms of just give us a bit of love on social media. It really helps us to grow the podcast. If you like our Facebook posts, our Instagram post, give us your thoughts in terms of Four Priests beers. Let us know what you're thinking on those, and any comments, and finally stay tuned for the next episode in terms of the hop edition. We've got the next episode coming at you on Saturday, February 21st. We're going to be talking with Dan from the Scottish Legends Fine Ales. We're going to be talking about mixed fermentation beers predominantly, but I'm sure we'll chat lots of different subjects. But
according to the notes, you also have to say "Yarl."
But I'm super keen to talk to Dan about mixed fermentation. It's a thing I know Andy and I have dabbled in mixed fermentation. I really want to pick his brains on that subject. So that's going to be a very interesting convo. But otherwise, I think that's episode 133 in the bag. Massive thanks to Andy. Thanks for coming along, and thanks for the beers.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'm going to post a link to the after party, where hopefully Andy can kick back and enjoy a beer and relax a little bit and not have to talk at length and have to answer numerous questions.
It's just going to have 20 people going, give me the recipe for this, give me the recipe
Yeah.
for this.
I'll swap you the recipe. I'll swap you the recipe for a hat selfie. Those of you that I want hat selfies.
Bobble hat.
Oh, I've got
stick the
mine.
hat- I'm
Mine's
gonna
is on
stick the hat
Instagram.
selfies. Stick the hat selfies on my next YouTube episode. How about that? Make you famous.
Did you see mine, Andy? I put mine up on Instagram.
I did see it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh,
Go and get my hat.
Right, so link to the Google Meet is now in the YouTube chat. I will post that to Discord as well for those that might not be on Facebook or YouTube. But otherwise, come join us in that chat. Have a beer. Andy, hopefully you can come join us in the after party as well. If you're not going anywhere, I'm sure Ibo might be keen to join too. Otherwise, guys, it's been a lot of fun. Over and out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.